it's the wizard Liz. I have seen her many times at the Five Palm and whatever. You're fucking ugly. Let's start there. Like, you could not pay me to look at you even, let alone sleep with you. You're just online saying stuff and yapping, but come with proof. Because maybe your mother is also a sex worker and we don't know.
I don't understand.
There was this, he sent me.
No one has any idea how deep this shit runs. No one has any idea how deep this shit runs.
Break up with him, I don't see him. He sent thousands of flowers. He found my address. He found my therapist here in Miami. And I freak out. I'm texting him like, how the fuck did you find my therapist? How the fuck? He's like, I wanted you back. I wanted her to have my experience with you. I wanted her to see that I love you. And I'm like,
So basically,
This video contains sensitive topics. Trigger warning for mentions of DV, abuse, miscarriage, and discussions of various traumas. Viewer discretion is advised.
so I have been thinking about where I can even start, because trust me when I say there is so much. There is so much to this story. So yesterday I went down this whole rabbit hole and I interviewed this moderator, this Reddit moderator who had like a lot of info on Liz and everything, and I kind of knew the gist of things yesterday, but as I sat down and I watched Abby's video or compilation of videos, it's kind of just like, oh god, this goes like so deep. It goes so much deeper than I ever expected, and I just am in such shock, and no one is like, what is happening here? Why is nobody, and I mean nobody, talking about this? And because I can't be the one to break this. Like, who am I? Why is nobody on the internet talking about this? Why did I find this on an obscure Reddit post with like 4 upvotes? What is happening? I don't understand. Okay, I have to stop recording because I'm actually losing my mind and I need to be making sense, but I just don't understand how somebody in the public eye could be so evil and there be proof of the evil, and what is happening? So I just decided, let's start where the narrative of it all starts, right? Because like things have been coming out over like the course of a few weeks and it's all been like jumbled, but in this video I'm just gonna kind of timeline everything and just walk you through this entire story, how it happened chronologically. So this is Landon Nickerson, the Joe Goldberg of the internet. He hates that title. He hates it. But hey, freedom of speech, am I right?
Disclaimer: the content presented in this video is for entertainment and informational purposes only. All statements, opinions, discussions, and representations made are based on publicly available information and personal commentary and are alleged unless otherwise stated. I do not claim any information presented as fact without supporting evidence. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This video is not intended to defame, harm, or malign any individual, group, company, or entity. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, let's go. Cue the rewind.
hi. I'm not really wanting to make this video, but I feel like I'm obligated to.
Let's go all the way back to Abby and when Landon met. Actually, you know what? we'll go even further back. Let's go back to Landon's first public appearance on the internet. Alright, rewind.
Hey, Verb, don't you think it's pretty weird that before me asking what's a verb, no one had a clue? Yeah, it's true, I invented you. Look at what you do, then look at me. I'm invincible, I caught you every move. Yeah. And pause. Hold up. Why are you trying to diss me every single chance you get? You lunatic, yeah, I'm gonna let the world know about your greatest
Secret. Yeah, I hate to do this to you, Landon. Landon Nickerson's career trajectory before meeting Wizard Liz. YouTube beginnings, April 2014. Landon launched his first channel, Landon, formerly Landon MC, initially focusing on Minecraft gameplay. After experimenting with vlogs, he shifted content towards Fortnite around early 2018, even reformatting the channel to drop Minecraft and emphasize Fortnite streams. Expansion into Roblox, May 2017.
Oh, I hope you guys enjoy this music video. 5K likes for another one. And remember about the Dominus giveaway at 100K subs.
Launched a second channel, Landon RB, dedicated to Roblox content.
I was playing Minecraft mining diamonds, man, and now I'm playing Roblox. All you haters taking aim and shooting shots, try messing with the Duck Squad.
His first Roblox video hit over 100K views quickly.
Viewers know we blowing up a Shan around, and yeah, we coming for the top.
He also became known for hosting large Robux giveaways.
And I swear the grind is real, 2 vids a day, we out here throwing Robux.
Though he faced account bans.
In the past I've made mistakes, but learned my lessons, gonna let the world know.
Monetization and success.
I love you, Mommy.
Over his gaming era, Landon grew into a multi-million-dollar YouTube creator with an estimated annual income of around $2 million at his peak.
Here is some quick math on how many hungry children $2 million per year could feed.
By 2021, he amassed around 4 million subscribers playing Fortnite, Minecraft, and Roblox. Pivot to tech entrepreneurship, which is what Wizard Liz's fan base thought he did, right? August 12, 2020, he publicly stepped away from YouTube, leaving a 2 million year career to launch ARC, a startup focused on augmented reality, AR, spatial computing.
Wow!
2019 to 2020, right before this, he founded ARC and became its CEO because he founded it, opting to channel his attention and resources into AR innovation. By May 2021, ARC secured $5.7 million in funding and formed a 50-50 joint venture with UK-based Litho to develop AR controllers.
Wow!
And here I give you a little timeline of his career. Alright? So this is her CEO millionaire boyfriend. No shade. No shade to gamers, no shade to Liz, only shade to Landon. You're a loser. I don't have to say allegedly for that. That's my opinion, personal opinion. I think you're a loser. I mean, it's great that you've been able to monetize your channel and like make all of this money, whatever. But the sheer audacity to be making kids content, but to be abusing the women and your future children by abusing their mothers in your personal life. Like, oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Also, gaming channels are really cool, but Landon's gaming channels were not cool. Personal opinion, that's my personal opinion.
Cause I know you're thinking, but Liddy, this guy, he's embarrassing, sure. His face looks a little stupid, sure. But like, how much damage can he even do? Look at him! Like, things can't be that bad. Surely you've exaggerated.
has unfortunately turned into a very lose-lose situation.
It's better than me, boy. If the man who cheated on me while I was pregnant texted me and tried to be manipulative and say, oh, well, I'm gonna myself, I would have told him to get it over with before the baby got here.
Wow, like, could this be the guy that I prayed for? Like, could this be everything I ever wanted in life? Lost my baby, and he was cheating on me again. This is the first time he laid his hands on me, and I'm gonna show you the video. Trigger warning.
The final straw for me was Liz going on her account and being like, this girl has a sugar da-da-da, and like attacking the woman. If I was in Liz's shoes and Landon did all of those things to me, he would be dead to me.
Okay, I just watched part 1 of Abby's 3-part series, and I don't even know how I'm going to keep editing to get to the next part. Like, I really I'm just in such shock. Like, what? I mean, okay, so yesterday and what is happening?
Hi, I'm not really wanting to make this video, but I feel like I'm obligated to.
Okay, so unless you've been living under an actual rock, you have heard bits and pieces about influencer wizard Liz and her posting on her story about her then fiance, or actually husband, Landon, cheating on her while she was 4 months pregnant with their child. Now, what most people don't know is that this story has escalated to the point where this isn't just a story about love gone wrong anymore. It is an intricate tale of manipulation, stalking, and not one, but 2 women. I mean, more if you really think about it, but 2 women are at the center of this. Liz and also Landon's ex-girlfriend, Abby. Now, to be very clear, Abby is not who Landon cheated on Liz with. This needs to be extremely clear. Please do not send any hate to Abby. She is a witch. This tale is about 2 women, Abby and Liz, who unknowingly found themselves caught in the web of the same man. And obviously everything against Landon is alleged, but here's everything, okay? So, how did we get here? Okay, I think I've calmed down, like, not significantly, but a bit more. Because I've been taking notes while Abby was speaking, just because I'm already, like, overwhelmed. So I'm just gonna go through what I know so far, okay?
Super nervous. I hate being so vulnerable and talking about a past and a partner that has hurt you so much. And it made you feel so less. At the end of the day, we need to pray for an individual that possesses so much hate and so much hurt in his heart to hurt other people physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, that's what I said when I got out of this and lived through what I went through with him.
Abby dated Landon when she was, like, just a little older than me, than the age I am right now. Just something that popped up in my research was how with narcissistic abusers, which a lot of people allege that he is, everything in this video is alleged, there was this thing about how everybody would think that these abusers, these undercover freaking abusers, were so nice. A lot of just horrible people. Like, when you watch a documentary about them, there's just this thing of, like, everybody being like, oh, he was just such a nice guy, he was just such a nice guy. And Abby, when she starts talking about Landon, that's the first thing, right? Like, Abby's like, oh, he is so nice.
I met Landon 2023 to 2024. I met him in Dallas, Texas. He's from Oklahoma. I'm from Texas. I met him. I was his bottle girl. He came out all the time. Everyone said he was known for being the sweetest person. We met in Dallas. I was his bottle girl.
Quick interjection here as well. Landon made Abby quit her job as a bottle girl, by the way. Like, after he started dating her, he convinced her that, oh, I don't want to be with a bottle girl. That's not the kind of woman that I would be with. I'm a high value man, like something of that sort. And it's just so true to the stereotype of the men who meet a girl at a club and then are surprised that the said girl wants to go to the club. So yeah, Landon basically just makes Abby feel really bad about her job, and she quits her job because she wants to be the right woman for him. But that's a bit more in the future.
My friends knew Landon because he was always going out. I was 21 at the time. I lived in a different state, and I just never went out. I'm just not a going out person. I'm not a big drinker. I don't do drugs. He does that. Whatever he wants, I don't care what he does. So when everyone was like, oh my god, Landon's here, he's so sweet, he's so nice, he's a gamer. One of my friend's sister works for his cousin that's Preston Plays. So everyone's saying he's just such a nice person. And I'm like, great, you could be a nice person, you're in my age range, you're freaking smart. I'm a sapiosexual and a demisexual, so I love when people are smart. I love having someone intellectually dominate me. I love that.
Now the next thing is her... Okay, this is kind of ridiculous to me because Landon Nickerson's public persona, nothing about his public persona screams smart to me. I mean, we've all seen the Roblox music videos. Like, come on, like, is this the guy that... Because Liz would go on and on about how smart Landon is, right? And everyone was like, what are you talking about, Liz? Like, how is he smart? Because he looks kind of stupid to us, and I don't have an explanation for this because I have explanations about everything. I am just the bearer of bad news here, okay? But Abby basically is like, oh yeah, like, I'm sapiosexual and demisexual, which I'm pretty sure sapiosexual basically means you're attracted to intelligence, right? Well, like, same, right? And demisexual, I'm pretty sure it's kind of like you're not exactly attracted to somebody's looks, or like you don't just see a picture of somebody on the internet and be like, oh my god, that's like the love of my life. Like, no, like you have to like get to know them a little better on a personal basis. So yeah, she is like, yeah, you know, I'm sapiosexual, that's why I like Landon Nickerson. Okay, and now the next thing that I want to talk about is how both girls, Liz and... So I'm not an avid follower of the Wizard Liz, not because I didn't know about her content, of course I did, and I even like clicked on one of her videos, but the thing is, I feel like, see, I think if I was 14, 15, I would have really enjoyed Liz and her content, but I was kind of just a little old for her. Not to say that there's this, I don't know, not to kind of be condescending or whatever, it's just that I had this phase of like very like consuming a lot of like girl boss content, and I was never really into the manifestation stuff, so like I don't know if I would have followed her when I was younger, but like yeah, I was not a big follower of her. But during this research and going down this rabbit hole, the one thing that I see clearly about the Wizard Liz, or I'm just gonna call her Liz, is how much trauma that she's been through. You know, she's been through a lot. I think she is trying her best to be happy, and no matter how flawed I think some of her like mechanisms and ways of getting to that are, I still do respect her, and it makes sense, right? It makes sense.
It's protective in nature, almost, her entire online personality, where she is kind of like, do this and you're not going to be harmed, do this and they're not going to take advantage of you, almost like she believes that if she does some things right, then she will not be abused. But the other side of that coin is, oh, you did something wrong and that's why you got abused, you weren't vibrating on the right frequency, that's why you got abused. I think that's ridiculous, and I will expand on that a bit later, kind of the nuance of that, but let's just say that real clear here before we move on to the fact that both women have extensive amounts of trauma.
But anyways, like, she has a lot of trauma, right, Liz? And Abby also has this extensive amount of trauma. So here I'll clip like Abby talking about her trauma right before she met Landon.
My guard was already up. I was 3 months abstinent. I was not in a relationship. I ended up getting a lot of trauma that happened to me in the state of Connecticut. I had someone steal my identity and lock me in a closet and put it to my head and beat me to the point where I was in the ER. So I was traumatized. I was broken. I was hurt. I had a unresolved wound from my parental figures with a disorganized attachment style with a severe codependent issue. But
the Wizard Liz's trauma, I will put in this Reddit comment kind of explaining that, and I'll read it out loud for you guys.
2 months ago, before even like the whole cheating scandal, on the Wizard Liz Snark, user Proper Green Tea asks, what do you think about her relationship with Landon? It seems like since they allegedly got married, she's been more quiet, and honestly, she doesn't seem as happy as she claims to be. Before the marriage, she was posting more interesting content with him. Now she's just posting pictures and videos from her bedroom. Now here's the response from Zealous Ideal Flan 42. I think Liz is misleading, unreliable, and sets off a bad example for young women in many ways. However, I empathize with her. She faced so much trauma and abuse during the most crucial phase of her life, childhood. She learned from early age that she can't trust anyone blindly, not even her own father. She literally saw her sister almost dying and had to intervene. Imagine that your only escape is school, but you're also being bullied there. That matures you way before you need to. You toughen up, swallow your emotions, and just survive without feeling much. And I know this because while not severe, I have been through similar stuff, and I think that's why I connected with her ideas at first.
I saw myself in her, but I wasn't healed and neither was she. You may be asking how this is relevant, but trust me, it is. Meeting a guy who is safe after years of building walls changes you. You slowly let your guard down. You become softer, less ambitious, less individualistic. While this may seem odd to people who loved your old version, this change is much needed for your healing and for your better version. I doubt that Liz is actually unhappy with him. I'm sure if their love is anything like what's shown to us, that aged well, she is just a more comfortable, more trusting version of herself. And yes, this may impact her fame because that tough love version of her will slowly disappear. Now, OP responds to this saying, I'm sure we all noticed that she softened up since she's with him, and I love that side of her. However, after she moved out to the new place, she went back to her old baddie image. She's married to the man of her dreams. If she was happy with her life right now, why wouldn't she show it like she did before while she was just dating Landon? I think, obviously, sorry, that's my dog. Say hi to Brownie. Hey, Browns. He's playing outside. So I think this shows us a lot about, of course, yes, the trauma that Liz has been through, but also that she might have gotten, and this is just speculation, mere speculation at this point, she might have gotten codependent with Landon at this point, just like Abby says she did.
Abby's video itself, which her video series is about 30 minutes long, it is getting harder and harder to find. I do have a downloaded copy of it, but there is a chance that linking that video in the bio of this video will get this video taken down, because I do not know why or what strings have been pulled for that video to be taken down off of the internet. It's just so weird. Ever that series is posted, it gets very little views and then it disappears off of the face of the internet. But I will put parts of those videos in this video, and I will also explain to you the rest of Abby and Landon's relationship before I get into Liz and Landon, which will be the final part of this horrible, horrible story. Okay, so we already talked about part 1 of Abby's narrative. Now we come to part 2. Abby clarifies again that she's not the person he cheated on Liz with. She'll never be the other woman. Okay, he convinced her that she had BPD. This is not a laughing matter, but it's just so horrible. He convinces her that she has BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, and it can deeply affect the way that you act in relationships, but also with somebody who is allegedly abusive like Landon. Mental health and boundaries and just mental illness is often utilized as a tool to shame the other person and avoid taking accountability for how you treat that person and their reactions to that, by making it seem like, especially the fact that there's been centuries and centuries of misinformation about mental illness, you can kind of capitalize off of that, right, to make the other person's reactions, very valid reactions to your, very normal reactions to your abnormal treatment of them, seem abnormal, right? So yeah, he convinces her that she has BPD, and weirdly enough, the therapist that he convinces her to see because she has BPD, or he says she has BPD, right, ends up saving her from this horrible relationship and this man. The therapist basically tells her, no, you're very self-aware, which I do think people with BPD can be self-aware, but just in the therapist's professional opinion, she did not have BPD, but the therapist was like, you do have a problem, get rid of that like, the therapist basically talks about how this is an abusive relationship. So that was Landon's crucial mistake, right? Not kind of underestimating mental health professionals, which Joe from You also does, by the way. But anyways, the therapist saves her, and she finally decides to leave. She knew he was with somebody, and then she gets all of these emails from him talking about, I love you, please, 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 just overwhelming, right? Not even giving you a second to think, because if you take a second to think, you'll be like, I don't want to be in this relationship, and he doesn't want that, right? Another thing with her, and also this is a form of control, right? And this form of making somebody feel not worthy, is there was no hard launch, which is just basically social media talk for like, he never posted. This was a long relationship, okay, Abby and Landon, but it is confirmed that they were dating, but he never posted her on any of his social media. It was almost like they weren't dating, but they were. And also she never wanted to post him because she talks about how she kind of knew that he was, like, part of her knew that he was cheating on her with all of these women, and so that's embarrassing as well. But with this base of trauma and all of the manipulation, you know, he's put her through, she's staying, right? So this isn't, unfortunately, the last time they get back together. She took him back one more time when she finally left, though. Love bombing again. But yeah, she acknowledges it. Like, he just wanted control over her when he does have her, and he does have control over her, and she's being this loving, caring, sweet, affectionate girlfriend of his. He does not care about her. He does not want to do anything for her. But the second she pulls away because he's mistreating her, he is like love bombing her in order to access her again, get control of her again. He does not love her. He's addicted to her attention, right? Now, he stalked her in Ibiza after the very last time that she left him, and this is where he finally meets Liz. Keep this in mind for a little later because obviously it will come in relevance. Okay, so he meets Liz and gains this new obsession for Liz. However, he is still allegedly stalking and abusing Abby. So there's this scenario that she talks about where she is with her now boyfriend, but they weren't dating at the time, in Sephora, just getting some makeup for a shoot, I'm pretty sure. Here's where part 3 starts, right? And Landon is here. Part 3, there was a girl in Miami that she talks about. That is another little rabbit hole that I need to delve into. But let's just hold that thought for a second. So now they're in Sephora, people are taking videos because Landon is allegedly getting completely out of hand, violent, talking about how this is his ex and now she's with this, something. I think he said this Mexican guy, but her new boyfriend is Middle Eastern, or the other way around, something like that, right? Just being kind of racist to her new boyfriend. Well, people recorded it, right? But nothing has emerged so far as I know. Or if something did emerge, it was submerged, which is actually surprisingly easy to do on the internet if you have power and privilege, and is probably what's gonna happen to this video. Other than the fact that I am literally nobody talking about this, but he also allegedly tried to get her boyfriend jumped while she is like in all of these dangerous situations with Landon, and her soon-to-be new boyfriend is with her. She's talking about like, oh my god, like I can't believe that this guy is like seeing all this and he's gonna think that I'm such a low vibrational being. And I was kind of just like, what in the hippy dippy what? Right? Like oh god. I respect all beliefs and all cultures, but it is not your fault that you got abused. It is not your fault that you got abused. It is really, really not your fault that you got abused. It is not your fault if you continue to be abused. That is normal to you. Your brain was literally wired to live in abusive scenarios, and it does not recognize danger how it should have because nobody protected you and nobody removed you from those situations. But it is not your fault you got abused. It's not because you're a low vibrational being. It's not because, oh, I can't set a boundary, so I deserve to get abused. No. You know, there is this pact that you make between people subconsciously. You give people your trust because they're supposed to not break it. They're supposed to be decent human beings. And you believe because, in Malayalam you say, Ninde Shuddha Buddhikku nee vicharichu. Because of your pure heart and pure brain, you believe that everybody upholds their end of the pact, but it is not your fault. They didn't uphold their end of the pact. It is not your fault. And people might say, but it is your responsibility to remove yourself from the situation. It is a kind thing to do for yourself. It is. But it is not your fault. And responsibility is a strong word for that. Now, yeah, so she talks about kind of victim blaming, right? So this is kind of what I'm talking about in these faux spiritual like talking points that people kind of circulate on social media. There's just so much like messed up stuff hidden and just insidious stuff hidden under very pretty and mystical language, and just a lot of obviously cultural appropriation. You can watch my hippie video for that, which I will put the title card for right when they're talking about vibrations and frequencies, but you're not really understanding what these people in the past have discovered. You're kind of using this for your own gain to push your own agenda, much in the way that people can be honestly religious with Christianity, but there are also people that use it to push their own agendas, as we have seen in the church. And don't come at me for that because I was raised Roman Catholic. Now, so there's also this part of like when this guy Landon is allegedly trying to get her to-be new boyfriend, you know what, let's just call him like Toby for now, because he is her to-be new boyfriend, but that's not his name. That's not his name. Please don't harass a random Toby. But so when Landon is trying to get Toby jumped, the GM of the club pulls her aside and is like, "You guys need to get out. You guys are causing problems." And she pulls up her email proof of Landon just sending her email after email after email, just weird and stalky, you know. And the GM is like, "Oh, that's insanely weird. You guys can stay. These guys need to go. So that is also potential proof if that person comes out, right? So Abby's narrative is littered with places that can have potential proof. And if Abby did call the police on Landon that one time, like she said, then that is also something that I think can be proven pretty easily in a court of law. Which is what she says next, right? There was this incident of DV in a locked car where she called the police on Landon, and I feel like there would be records of this. It happened December of 2023 or beginning of 2024. Now she ends her narrative talking about how she finally watched You, which I watched when I was very young. I was about 15 when I watched the show, and I feel like I didn't really get a lot of it like I probably would now that I'm almost 21. But she watches You, and You is Landon's favorite show, and she's kind of like, whoa, like that guy is Landon. Now, she does clarify at some point that she does not, and obviously this is her own personal opinion, right? Like, she talks about when she called the police on Landon, and she thinks to herself, Landon is not the kind of person that would kill me, but he would be the type of person to lock me away and for me to never see my family again or something like that, which was very alarming. But yeah, that's where the whole Joe Goldberg of the internet thing comes in. But honestly, like, is Landon getting off on being called that? Because I haven't seen one singular person calling him that other than himself and now me. So like, why are you posting on your story being like, I'm not Joe Goldberg, I'm not Joe Goldberg, if you don't want people to be calling you Joe Goldberg? So I don't know if I just fell into like a very just reverse psychology tactic, or if this is just hilarious and he will absolutely hate this. But yeah, she ends the narrative calling him just a truly broken, not man, but boy, which was incredibly satisfying. And yeah, that was Abby's relationship with Landon. Obviously, I want you guys to see the full video, but I don't know if you can access it anymore because Abby talks about how Landon allegedly harassed her family and everything to get the video taken down. So I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but obviously I will stitch parts of the video here. Before we move on to Liz and Landon's relationship, I mean, you already know how it ends. You just don't know what happens up until that point, right? I would like to say that the biggest pattern that Liz and Abby share in their relationships with Landon is that they both got cheated on while they were pregnant with Landon's child. Yup. That happened not just with Liz, but also with Abby. But I mean, with Abby, it was just happening all over the place, right? And also, Abby suffered a miscarriage. Abby suffered a miscarriage while she was with Landon, and Landon was not there for her during that time at all. And he was cheating on her and everything, but then the second she tries to leave him, and the second she's like, okay, you obviously don't care about me, clearly, let me leave, he starts love bombing her, he starts just going crazy for her, further just proving my point of he just loves her attention. But yeah, that is the biggest similarity between Liz and Abby's stories. Supposed to be his last response to everything, Landon did say that the problems that he and the wizard Liz had started long before the cheating. Which makes me wonder and question if there was a point to the post that we saw before, right? But here is like this entire master list of posts and just comments that I had to compile to kind of track Liz's relationship with Landon. Let's go through each and every link and kind of timeline Liz and Landon's relationship with this background of how Abby and Landon's relationship was. Finally, all of this brings us to Liz and Landon's relationship. The one unanswered question is still who the girl was in Miami that Abby was talking about, but I think all of your other questions have kind of been answered so far up until we get to Liz and Landon, which is probably the part of the story that you knew even a little bit of before clicking on this video. Here is how we're going to go through Liz and Landon's relationship. We are going to see this relationship, how the internet saw it, or I wouldn't call Reddit the underbelly of the internet, but the very hyper-focused people on the internet saw it because that's useful. That's very useful. So let's go all the way back to 27th September 2024 on our first Reddit link here.
This was 8 months ago. User Few Excuses 4838 talks about how Landon's Instagram changed after people found out about Liz and Landon. Landon has here deleted all of his posts, and also there's only 2 people that he's following, which is Liz and the thing I talked about earlier, Arc, which is his little AR company, right? And people are talking about, why did he wipe off hundreds of his posts? Act like you've been here before, brother. Not sure, maybe Liz asked him to. He's gone all mysterious, even unfollowed 500 people. Someone talks about odd because he had a YouTube platform to where it would be appropriate for him to have an active Instagram. She maybe gave him the, okay, I only date men with no social media, and if you have one, that's bad energy or whatever. And yeah, somebody does say the rest of her exes didn't have social media. So we immediately kind of see a reinvention of Landon himself right as Liz and Landon start their relationship, right? Let's go ahead and go to our next link, which is 28 September 2024, which is the day after this was posted, where Wizard Liz revealed Landon as her fiance. Now, here we go. On LA Influencer Snark, Orthorexic 8 months ago talks about Wizard Liz revealed her fiance, Landon Nickerson. It's not her ex like people assumed. He seems like the type of person she would make fun of based on the things she said in her videos. This poster talks about he was not what I was expecting given her videos. She would post pictures of Dr. Phil on Instagram stories and say she was attracted to him, LMFAO, and he was her type, which is really funny because Dr. Phil isn't even a real doctor. So Liz, I definitely feel her fiance is someone she would make fun of. He's a huge gamer and watches anime. I was surprised when she posted a picture of them watching Jujutsu Kaisen together. IDK seems a bit off. The only thing that seems to check out is money, of course. So there's that. They also haven't been dating very long before the engagement. He's not the ex she's been on and off with for the past few years. She has always said he was a Scorpio and would diss him for it. Landon was born in April. I don't know my zodiacs well enough to know what that means. So yeah, checks out that they haven't been together for more than a few months. People are on their bullshit talking about she has masculine energy. They balance each other out, whatever. And yeah, there's a lot of comments about Landon's masculinity or lack thereof. Right when Liz revealed that Landon cheated on her, like a lot of people were calling him a twink and stuff like that. And while there are evil twinks out there, as a victim of the evil twinks themselves, I can say that there are. I feel like that's a very just kind of like, it's not feminist to say that, you know that, right? Like, it is, and it was mostly men talking about that too. It is very patriarchal, as if you don't fit into this very specific binary gender norm, which I feel like Landon does, but you know, with our generation, there has been a huge like influx of looks maxing content for men and just making men feel very insecure about their looks and just their overall masculinity levels or whatever on a rate previously unseen. So I genuinely think that is bullshit. Now, yeah, so people are talking about how they thought he was gay, that guy is DL, whatever, right? Now, on to the next thing. 5th November 2024. Is this odd? Here's the next Reddit link that we will be following. Oh, this is Landon's side of how Liz and Landon met. Hold on.
So, Liz and I actually met almost 3 years ago. Some good, okay, she had like 20K followers. She wanted to be a YouTuber, and I sent her some like motivational books and stuff. I took her a book recommendation. We talked for like 2 years, and then we both ended up getting into a relationship with other people, so we stopped talking. Anyways, I randomly met this girl in an airport after being scammed $20,000 from people I thought were my friends, and I wasn't even supposed to bump.
Okay, so the $20,000 scam, nobody knows what he's talking about here because people allege that he spent that $20,000 partying in Ibiza while he was stalking his ex-girlfriend Abby, which the dates align perfectly on. He met Liz while he was in Ibiza stalking Abby. Abby is probably the relationship he got into right after he and Liz started DMing, and Liz is just his new obsession, right? So I kind of want to stop him right there as he says that to give you guys that information, but I'm gonna let him continue. But yeah, so makes sense with this Landon being this big shot YouTuber. He gave her advice or books and was kind of this mentor figure, and also makes sense why Liz might feel comfortable marrying him so quick, because in her mind, like, oh, but we've talked for 2 years, but you haven't really. You had a couple conversations here and there, and then he was in a relationship. Now he also goes on to talk about how he thought about Liz while he was in another relationship, which is honestly a telltale sign of how he would probably think about other women while he's in this relationship with Liz. But let's go on ahead.
I literally was like in a connecting flight in this random place in the world. I needed to get my bag because I lost it. I never forget my backpack anywhere. I walk back to go get my backpack. I find it exactly where I thought I was. I'm walking to leave the airport to go back to America, and I ran into Liz. I see her like sitting down with her friend. I didn't know she had a mask on. No, like you didn't tell me that. I didn't see her. I felt her. Like I don't know how else to say it.
He says, I didn't see her, I felt her. Keep in mind, this is a girl he's talked to on Instagram DMs just a couple times, right? But this goes back to something I don't remember if I've discussed prior to in this video of how our societal view on love and relationships kind of paves way for these abusive men, allegedly, to take advantage of and to kind of be like, oh, but I felt you in that airport. Like, you know, we watch even something as benign as Hotel Transylvania, the whole idea of being zinked or whatever it was. It stuck with me for a long time, right? Because I was a kid and I was consuming content. And all of these ideas of love and it being magical, and I'm not saying be clinical about love, right? I'm not saying be clinical, be cynical, but it all kind of makes sense in retrospect. Let's go on ahead.
And the craziest thing is, and this is like manifesting like advice for you guys, I used to say out loud, when talking with my friends, you know, it's not the end of the world that this relationship isn't working out, because at the end of the day, there are still girls like the Wizard Liz out there. This girl was like always my ideal woman. This was the one. And bro,
this might be true because, yeah, you know, he is kind of,
how do I put this? He has very, see, I was gonna say he's kind of misogynistic, but that is obviously to put it lightly. And that's not to say like, oh, he hates women. He probably does, but in that kind of subconscious benign way, or almost benign way of, like, you think it's benign, of being like, oh, you know, manifestation, blah, 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 blah. Also, you have so many clothes on, you must respect yourself a lot, but also manifestation, magic, blah, 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 right? So it's kind of this misogyny sprinkled in throughout just very like hippy dippy stuff, right? And yeah, there's a complete difference in Liz's aesthetics and Abby's aesthetics. And Abby is you know, like accused a lot of having an OnlyFans or whatever, which she doesn't. She has a Fansly, which it is similar in the way that you pay for content of that person, extra content, but also like, I mean, I do not know if that content that she's providing is adult content, but neither do I care. I don't care. And no, I'm not going to pay for that content, not because I don't want to support Abby, just because if it is adult content, I would much, you know, I don't know. Anyways.
Really felt her in the airport. I looked, I saw her, I was like, oh my god, what the heck? This is like a dream. I walked right up to her. I said, oh my god, Liz, and she looked up and she said, oh my god, Landon. That's great. And since then, I've been blocked. That's great.
No, since then he has not been locked, and there is proof of that because the next day he was emailing his ex Abby talking about, please take me back, or whatever he was saying in those emails. I'll put them right there. So that is a lie. That is a complete lie. But which, see, this is why I had to discuss his past and Abby and all of that to tie it together to why his claims about Liz and their relationship, all these things that we see outright, were lies, right?
It's crazy.
Okay, so that's how that video ends. Now let's talk about this post itself, 7 months ago, from user Orthorexic. So the rest of this post basically goes, is this a little odd to anyone else? Maybe he did love bomb the wizard Liz, full name here, because according to Liz, they didn't talk that much through DMs, only occasionally. So yeah, you know, people are confused. People that are of age and, I don't know, whose prefrontal cortexes are a little developed are confused as to why these two are getting married, because they don't really know each other. And yeah, this is her new fiance, Landon, by the way. I don't trust her to be truthful anyway. This is all me just reading from these posts. I don't have anything against Liz. I think she is a genuine person, mostly that just is trying to cope with her own traumatic childhoods, but I'm not going to fight anybody that says otherwise either, because obviously I do not know this person in person, you know? So when she first started YouTube, she was talking about how people assumed she was only with men who have money and kept on saying, no, that's what you guys think. Then when whatever femininity coaches, whoever became mainstream, she was like, yeah, he gave me his credit card and paid all my bills. Now this is conflicting with other information that people know about Liz or have claimed about Liz, which is that her first video was something about how to get money from men or how to date rich men or something, and when she got backlash for that, she deleted it, and that's how she became famous. So this is contradicting evidence, but you will see a lot of that. Obviously, this is the internet. Take what you can, right? Anyways, it's not like she owes us anything, correct? But it does make him look delusional and weird. Not to somebody who has been fed love like this drug and like this all-consuming answer that will save you. For somebody who has consumed a lot of romance content, this will seem romantic. And I feel like if I was just a little younger and hadn't been through the things I'd been through, and I don't know, didn't have the context that I have now, I would have put his little speech to that same song. When you know, like, shut up. Anyways, she would talk occasionally and he would congratulate her, but this man is so enamored from just that. Now, this person, their top 1% commenter for a reason. If someone is proposing to you after dating for less than 3 months, then yes, it's highly likely that they are love bombing you. Yeah, I agree. The other scenario is them falling in love with an idealized version of you. I think it's a little bit of both, and the truth kind of lies in between. As they get to know you, their illusion will get shattered and they'll lose feelings. This is extremely true, and this is something somebody said 7 months ago, before he cheated on her, you know? He cheated. Wow, you're right. I feel like one of the reasons they're jumping into marriage so fast is just because they can afford to do so. Like, they're rich. Losing a few millions won't hurt them, I guess. Losing a few millions? What are you talking about? Probably talking about marriage and divorce and alimonies and stuff like that. But another thing, you know how Landon calls the wizard Liz's marriage to him fake? It wasn't fake. It was a nikah, which is obviously sacred, and a wedding, of course, but it's just the Muslim version of a marriage, and I'm not sure if they have signed legal court documents kind of recognizing their nikah as an actual legally recognized in the state of in United States court marriage, you know? This sounds so fake and too good to be true. There's no way this guy's into Liz. You can tell by body language. I think the body language is bullshit, but yeah, too good to be true. Okay. He's trying to make it look a certain way for content. Very true. 7 months ago, you were right. He did love bomb her and she fell for it. This post predicted the future. Now, another thing is how Liz and Landon's stories of meeting don't seem to match. This is from 12th November 2024. We just saw Landon's story of how he met Liz, but here. This user is deleted now, but Liz and Landon's stories don't match. I just saw a video of Landon talking about how they met, and compared to Liz's video, it literally doesn't match up, lol. I remember Liz said that she posts things happening in real time, so even if the dates are off, they are still close. Here's the thing. It's very unlikely that a content creator posts things that are happening in real life, especially one that's as mainstream and has as many haters as the wizard Liz, because you know, if you're posting your location or if you're posting a story in real time as it is happening, somebody can just pull up to that location to come meet you or harm you in some way, right? And that is actually how Landon was able to stalk Abby in Ibiza, and now she doesn't post in real time anymore. So I just wanted to put that right there. Liz said they met 3 years ago when he messaged her, seems right, congratulating her on her YouTube success. He would message her every once in a while congratulating her, but they never maintained a friendship in those 3 years until she met him at an airport in July, and they were inseparable since then. Landon said that they were friends and talked for 2 years before they both entered different relationships and just stopped talking until they met at the airport. Liz was with her ex when she started YouTube, as she stated before, saying that she was in a long-term relationship. They broke up in June 2023, which she said in a podcast with Sabina, which I'm pretty sure is her sister. So how could they have been talking for 2 years and then stop talking because of different relationships when her relationship with her ex started before her YouTube career and ended not even a full year ago? Now, my explanation for this is that her relationship with her ex was allegedly on and off again, right? We both saw that in that other post, so that might have been it. And to the point where people thought that when she said she had a fiance, they thought, oh my god, you're marrying your ex. So kind of like a Justin Haley situation, which I might make a video on at some point, but a deep dive kind of just like this one, but that would actually take so long. That's years and years, right? And this was all just, yeah. In her video about getting married, she said that Landon would never get heartbroken and would tell his friends it's fine because there's still girls like the Wizard Liz out there, and he knew that she was the one or something, which makes me think he was low-key plotting, like OMG stalker. It seems like they were both love bombing each other. Knowing of each other for 3 years versus actually knowing someone for 3 years is completely different, and they jumped into marriage so fast. She literally cut her ex off 2 months before they met. Now here's the thing. She also announced her pregnancy very close into the marriage, which made people talk about how Landon baby trapped her. The pregnancy could be an accident, which is speculated, but I just saw that the Wizard Liz confirmed that the pregnancy was actually planned, which is very not in character for somebody like Liz, but I think that is something that a manipulative person is very well capable of convincing you is a good idea. So somebody's talking about, I also think that Landon is the type of man who sees women as trophies to check off a list. For example, the way he talks to his friends about wanting to get Liz shows this. He says things like, at least there's a girl like Wizard Liz out there, which makes it seem like he already has this fixed idea of who she is without knowing the real Liz. I'm sure he has an idealized image of her and has put her in a high pedestal, but he's not genuinely interested in who Liz truly is. He'll likely be disappointed one day when he realizes she is a regular person with flaws. Not only that, but I think he sees Liz as a status symbol or a marker of his own success. It's as if he's saying, look at me, I started a company at a young age, and not only that, I managed to make the Wizard Liz. Oh, because he's talking about how he gave her YouTube advice and stuff. A successful influencer and girl boss feminist symbol fall in love with me and marry me quickly. Even marry me. The problem with men like this is that they're never satisfied. They keep searching for another woman who is their type, who fits their idea of a trophy, always seeking the most impressive prize that they can show off. Now, here's another insane thing. This was posted 7 months ago before the whole cheating incident, when everything seemed good. Because that's the thing with these people. They all seem to kind of follow the same rule book, the almost same playbook. But please do not buy that playbook for $4.99 off of somebody's Instagram bio, because that is a scam. These people seem to follow the same playbook, but to understand the playbook, you'll have to do the work yourself, getting hurt, and also going to therapy, writing these things down, and eventually you'll hone your own instincts against it, right? Please just don't trust anything on the internet blindly. Take what you can get and log off. Okay, fast forward about 10 days to 22nd November 2024, and now we talk about their past relationships, right? Let's follow the link, and okay, so this is Landon's ex, Catherine Menchaca. Later in the story, we will see her response to the whole situation, but she did a very, very PR-trained response, but it is easy to glean from there what she thinks of him if we were to make assumptions, but this is Landon's ex. Now, on LA Influencer Snark, user Mystic X Wheels 7 months ago says, they're just weird. Who gets engaged after 3 months of dating? Also, the fact that Landon deleted all of his posts and unfollowed everyone shows how much he relies on Liz to be some sort of perfect, mysterious dream guy, because she knows her followers would cook him for who he really is. He's also liking comments on his posts that are saying Liz was his first love and first girlfriend, even though he's been in multiple relationships with different women. Weird energy. Okay, yeah, that was another thing where he kind of made it seem like Liz was his first girlfriend or his first true love, right? And that was kind of true for Liz, as we talked about earlier. Liz's previous relationships genuinely weren't, in her own words, as emotionally involved as her relationship with Landon. So, Agreeable Dinner 986, top 1% commenter, says, he's a textbook love bomber, and once they get married, he'll start acting like her second controlling boyfriend. He also would try to talk to her online for 3 years before they started dating, which is stalkerish behavior. Her egomaniac ass is too happy that she's found someone completely infatuated with her to realize what a blaring red flag is. Genuinely, a lot of people claim that the Wizard Liz is a narcissist, but I genuinely do not think so. Just from all of my research on her, I think she is a woman who is trying to be better in her own ways and teaching people what she thinks has genuinely worked out for her. But if anything, like you say, all of her methodology is, flawed, but she's living this great life, so she's lying to people. But no, look at her. She's not living this great life. She is either going to be a single mother, which there's nothing wrong with, but it's just going to be hard, and that's not what she planned, or she's going to be with this man who cheated on her once, right? And has this history of alleged abuse. So she doesn't have a good life herself, or not the perfect life that everybody dreams of or talks about, which I don't even think is realistic. Life is messy. The world is complicated. You're not going to be the perfect IG baddie in real life, like all the time or at all. So yeah, because of
like her methodology is flawed and her life is flawed. I don't think she's purposefully trying to deceive people. I think she genuinely believes the things that she says, but the problem is the things that she says aren't, you know, all there or all exactly correct, which makes sense. She's fairly young to be like a guru, like what? But anyways, yeah, 7 months ago, OP says, couldn't have said it better myself. He's a textbook love bomber. I hope she opens her eyes. So what I was about to say is a lot of people like to call Liz, or not like to call Liz, are compelled to call Liz a narcissist. And one of her catchphrase t-shirts is narcissist and and an icon, right? But here's something, and also I'm not a trained professional, I'm just somebody who's had a lot of therapy. Here's something that I know. A lot of signs of narcissism or whatever can also be just normal trauma responses to an abusive childhood. You kind of have to be overly consumed with yourself, or you kind of have to think about yourself at all times because nobody else thought about you. And that is not in any way to compel people to stay with somebody who's like that, or to, just because you understand a certain behavior doesn't mean that you need to put up with it. That's their own fight to fight, you know? And you have your own problems, even if you think that those problems are smaller or insignificant compared to the your partner or the other person in your life's problems, because that comparative is honestly just based on a very flawed. I was just gonna say, a lot of people talk about how Liz is a narcissist, and I really just don't think so. Obviously, I can be wrong, but I think this is a deeply traumatized individual who is just trying to make her way around the world and get the love that she never really had. And I will talk later about how people kind of turning against her audience turning against her has worked out in Landon's favor, and how he is using that as this launching off point to manipulate her further, but that is for a little later. Okay, so I don't think she's an egomaniac. I think she's never had love before, so she doesn't know what the healthy version of that looks like, and obviously, who wouldn't want this? Like, it's not, yeah, you wouldn't want this because you're like, oh my god, this is such a red flag, but if this didn't represent a red flag to you, and in turn represented romance and love you've never received in your life before, then who on earth wouldn't want this, right? But yeah, people are talking to this person being like, bro, you called it, Landon cheated on her, I can't believe it as well, this whole comment section saw it 6 months ago. Yeah, because signs are obvious, a marriage like this doesn't necessarily work out. Okay, now we fast forward all the way to May 27th, 2025. We don't know a lot of details of what happened between this time period, right? They got engaged, they got into this relationship, they got engaged fairly quickly, Liz got pregnant, all of that. We just walked through what parts of their relationship were public and online in the first half. Now, 20th May 2025 is is Liz's IG story dump talking about how Landon cheated while she was 4 months pregnant. So let's take a good look at this post. Now, this is on LA Influencer Snark, but it shouldn't be hard to find on the internet. Obviously, it's not on Liz's social media anymore. Instagram stories expire after 24 hours, as everybody knows. But I will never create a fake narrative for social media. I will not preach something and not take the advice myself. Here's the thing. You can accidentally do that if the person you're with is manipulating you and knows your weaknesses and has earned your trust, albeit unfairly, right? Okay, let's go ahead. Landon decided to make a Snapchat account. I love how she is, the word decided here, I really, really love, because she is really making clear, like, Landon didn't just make, like, there's a lot of steps that you need to do to cheat on your partner. So it can't be just like, oh, it was a mistake in the heat of the moment. There were several hours of, like, you thinking this way that you could have been like, hold on, I don't want to do this. Let me break up with my partner. Let me talk to my partner, anything, right? So decided to make a Snapchat account and reach out to a girl to meet up. He was just with me in London, made a whole book about how much he loves me. We talked about the book before. Anyways, the girl reached out to my friend and today showed us evidence. He called the relationship fake. Basically, he called their marriage fake and the relationship as well, which people think was just some weird racist, like him just being like, oh, it's a nikah, so that might have been his defense. But when the girl that he was texting asked, like, how is it fake, he was like, that's just like such a long story. Meanwhile, my cats are with him in Dallas, all of my stuff is there in our apartment, and oh, I'm 4 months pregnant. Here you'll see that she's made a spelling mistake. Obviously the grammar on this isn't like perfect, which makes me think that this was not like read by a PR team. I don't think PR has been involved in this at all. I don't even think ChatGPT was involved in them posting a story. Like any kind of reading it, proofreading by any other person other than these people themselves was involved in posting these stories, which I think definitely makes this case easier to analyze, but also is not a very good move on your part as a social media content creator. But anyways, he says he's incredibly sorry because they're posting all of this stuff in the heat of the moment and it can be misconstrued in certain ways, and it has been. And at the end of the day, who really cares? But yeah, he says he's incredibly sorry, but honestly, I feel like I didn't know him at all. I feel stupid for ignoring the signs and dreams I had that I even told him about, and he told me I was crazy. Listen to you, intuition, women. Obviously, she meant to say your. Okay, the dream part. Okay, listen, he cannot be telling you you're crazy. That is an insane term to call your own girlfriend. But there might have been signs, but I don't think your dreams were one of them. And I say this with the utmost respect. It can be, obviously, a dream about your partner cheating can very well be your subconscious trying to tell you something that your conscious brain refuses to understand. But also, chances are that it was really just an anxiety dream. So that is actually, literally that one line is why I started making this entire video. And I thought it was going to be like 10 minutes because there were all of these mostly very young women breaking up with their boyfriends because they had also had dreams of them cheating and stuff like that. But like a dream of your partner cheating or a dream of your partner acting completely different than they usually do, it's an anxiety dream, and it's a very part of your human psyche that doesn't actually reflect reality or doesn't necessarily reflect reality at all times. So literally I was going to say that one simple thing and then the story was just insane. And it took so long. It's been almost like a month since I started working on this, which I'm glad for because 3 days ago Liz was spotted with Landon. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, and I'm 4 months pregnant. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, listen to your intuition, women. Yeah, so intuition can also be anxiety, but anxiety can be valid, can not be valid. Like, yeah. Men want to lead the world, but can't even control their lust. It's weak. A man that can't control his lust will never be able to lead. I'm absolutely heartbroken and shocked. My haters can go celebrate. Haha, so funny. Here's the interesting part. The wizard Liz's haters, and I would know, not because I'm a hater myself. I mean, I am for other things, but not necessarily Liz. But I took a lot of their help, and they were just so incredibly nice and helpful people. And none of her haters actually celebrated her getting cheated on. A lot of them were like, because the Wizard Liz Snark subreddit for a couple days actually completely transformed into this place of like just love and support for her. Obviously not unanimous, like people were calling her like, even a narcissist doesn't deserve this, whatever, right, yada yada. But like, yeah, people were very, very shocked because this is an absolutely diabolical thing to do to another person, and there is no excuse under the sun for you doing something like this. But anyways, she says, I will always have the last laugh, though. Here we see more of that kind of protective language, which I really deeply, honestly empathize with. I empathize with Liz a lot. I don't agree with everything she says, but I don't agree with a lot of things she says, but I empathize with Liz. Not sympathy. I think she's a strong woman, and she's been through so much. She's got this. But yeah, I empathize with her, and I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's a flawed human being, like many of us are. He lost everything, and I gained everything. Protective language. Thank God. I think she does believe in God. I don't know if she is strictly Muslim. I know she was born Muslim, but she does believe in God, just like Abby. And there was a lot of religious abuse just in the language that Landon used towards Abby, which you will see soon. But allegedly. Okay. She's pregnant too. This is crazy. Cheating on your pregnant significant other is probably the worst thing you can do. Scumbag loser. He just posted this diabolical behavior. He had posted a little thing of him and Liz, which is looks like he's like protecting her from the sun, but you couldn't protect her from okay, yourself. All right. Let's go on to the next thing. When I say Wizard Liz Snark truly turned into a place for her fans to talk about this whole situation, I really mean it. Because and not like a place to hate. I really mean it, because the top post after like a week after this was, hey, can all of the fans like go away because we're trying to hate on her here, and there's like a lot of non-haters here. But yeah, a lot of Wizard Liz Snark is honestly just women that have been damaged through her ideology that she spreads, but obviously she follows it for herself, and you know, it's weird. Anybody can have a social platform these days, and I think that's a good thing, but that also means you have to be very aware, and young people don't have the privilege of being very aware usually. So 1st June 2025 is email proof of Abby and Landon still contacting his ex. You know, he was still reaching out to Abby, his ex, just weeks before proposing to Liz. He was unfaithful since day one. Look at that. And then look at that. Okay. He last spoke to Abby July 27, 2024, and didn't make his engagement to Liz public on Instagram until September 2024. I doubt they made it official the same day he proposed, so it's clear he was never serious about her. He was still talking to Abby while getting into a relationship with Liz. Landon was cheating from day one. All right. Somebody says that's why he didn't follow anyone else on Instagram. He communicated via email. No, Abby had just blocked him everywhere, so he was emailing her, and she had also blocked him on email. But you can still see the emails that somebody you blocked sends you. It just goes into a different folder. If I'm correct, I've never had to block someone on email. So then confusion sparks about when exactly did they meet, right? So let's go on to this link. When exactly did Liz and Landon meet? Timelines aren't adding up. This is after Abby's video, right? I was wondering why Liz was so defensive. Did something strike a nerve? Whatever. And the last message he sent to Abby, as per the screenshots, 07/2024. He met Liz at airport in August 2024, and as per Abby's old post, 07 is July, obviously. As per Abby's old post, and this one, he was stalking Abby in Ibiza during that time and probably ran into Liz at the airport on his return. And September 2024, he posted the engagement photo. All right, so that's that. And finally, yeah, so 2nd June 2025, we have, you know, Landon was in Greece chasing and stalking his ex Abby when he randomly bumped into Liz, and that's how they met. Removed by Reddit in response to a copyright notice. Definitely Landon, dude. Like, who did that? What copyright notice, dude? What copyright notice? Oh my god, it might be that you're not supposed to show any of Abby's videos anymore because they've been taken down off of the internet. Oh my god. Yeah, I might have to like edit out Abby's videos out of my video itself because apparently, yeah. All right. More on the nature of Liz's previous relationships, and also how Liz is seeming to define her relationship with Landon as of now, before he posts all of his responses, right? And after that, it clearly changed. But let's go Liz's previous relationships. Okay, so here is a slideshow posted by user The Very Nice One from Liz's video about her previous relationship. Liz says, even in my previous relationship, I didn't have intimacy, really. We were both emotionally very cold, so there was no kissing, there was no hugging, there was not really nice words. I was more like a best friend. It was more like a best friend type of relationship where you're just hanging out. And this is why I decided to end my relationship. Now, I'm assuming she's talking about her on-again, off-again boyfriend and not somebody else, but that's just really sad because that was like a several-year kind of thing, you know? But here's what OP says about that. Her previous relationship doesn't sound transactional. There are some screenshots. These are some screenshots from her Q&A. I think she was talking about the man she broke up with because she was too comfortable with him. It doesn't really sound like a sugar baby/daddy relationship to me. I do have to be honest that I don't know a lot about those relationships. Liz said intimacy wasn't really a part of the relationship. I thought SB/SD, which is sugar baby/sugar daddy, relationships revolved not only around companionship, but also
Now, here's the thing. I don't think she's ever been a sugar baby, although there's a lot of speculation about that and kind of the transactional nature of her previous relationships, you know. But unfair scale 9029 says she's lying, trying to push a virginal okay for him, which, if that is the case, is kind of sad that she felt the need to do that, but not surprising because patriarchal society, it is easy for women to try to present a certain way because you think that's what's going to gain you the affection or love of this man, you know, and kind of see yourself from third person, kind of see yourself from a male perspective as well. Now we go to 28th May 2025, that very same day. Okay, that very same day, she talks about, wait, hold on. Okay, oh, this is from Intelligent Table. I adore this person. This person helped me so much. So she clarifies that they were both single when they met each other, which Intelligent Table makes an excellent observation here. So shout out to you. I love you so much.
You also got into a relationship then. So we were both like just living our lives, and but in my head, I like adored you, to be honest. Like every time that you would send me a message, I got just.
So we were both in relationships, but in my head, I adored you. Every time you sent me a message, I got uniquely excited. This is all very sweet when you hear it, and you're like, oh, he doesn't mean it that much, because come on. At the end of the day, you know, he's dating me now, and he just wants to tell me that he didn't really love that girl as much as whatever. But this concept of soulmates, it's not something that is predestined. It's something that you create for yourself, right? Of course, some things weren't meant to be, but also a lot of things, if you have this baseline mutual understanding and things in common, you make somebody your soulmate, right? You create that. And you're just saying that even whilst you were doing that, actively trying to do that with another person, and you're not saying here like, oh, the relationship was bad or whatever, even if that's not an excuse, you're saying that while you were trying to do that with somebody else, this other person that you don't even know was texting you, and you would get uniquely excited. So even though it sounds benign, that's an early red flag, right?
Uniquely excited. And also at the time of the story, but the first time you ever sent me a voice message. You also got into a relationship.
Okay, so she says right here, I want to clarify, Landon was absolutely single when he met me. It is true that he was, but he got into a relationship a couple days later. We were both not in a relationship. They both got into different relationships later. I don't know how people even came to that conclusion. Probably because, you know, it's the internet and people are trying to dissect things really fast, and, you know, it's a little confusing. Or who made that up, you know. But I would definitely not be dating him if he wasn't single to begin with. I believe her. When we met over Instagram 4 years ago, didn't he say 2 years ago? Or they talked for 2 years. Anyways, we talked for a couple of days, and I got into a relationship after, and so did he. Stop this false narrative. That's just even more harmful to people. Harmful people love to make up weird stuff. Traditional Eye 6909 says, the way she's smiling from ear to ear, hearing that he adored her while he was in a relationship, seems like the Snapchat girl was karma hitting her back. Again, I think a lot of people wouldn't be alive if karma existed, but, or existed in the way that society likes to talk about it. You know, in the actual definition of karma, you can get your karma in your next life, and the life after that, and the life after that, because you have unlimited reincarnations, but... So the first hint we get as to what Liz and Landon's relationship might look like post something like this was her not deleting all of her videos with Landon as one does after a breakup, or even archiving them, but instead just editing the captions, which is pretty telling because it's kind of telling you that I'm not going to cut this person out of my life completely. I am simply going to change my relationship to this person, which is not bad in a lot of scenarios because, you know, co-parenting is becoming an increasingly popular method of parenting amongst divorced or broken up people, you know, so she might want the baby to have Landon in the baby's life, but given what we've heard from Abby, that is really, really something that Liz should consider and think about a lot, right? But here are some of Liz's edited IG captions. If you go on her Instagram, you can read more. They're really funny. But okay. First, when I call my mom to complain about my man, but she starts defending him instead, she says she ain't defending him no more. Then one man's you're asking for too much is another man's is that all you want? The caption is now a man will send almost or I think she meant a man will spend almost 1 million. See, that's what I mean. Like, I think a lot of this was done while she was in a very heightened emotional state, which is not bad. A man will spend almost 1 million on you, insist being around you 24/7, move in with you, be so lovely all day, and still cheat on Snap and call your relationship fake. Release me. I don't know what this video was, but she says, bro, this hurt called me back to myself and my whole ancestry line. And when you keep coming back better from anything life throws at you, and she says, God really said bet on this one. So yeah, and now we know that he is clearly still in her life, and he might even try to weasel his way back into a relationship, but that's what's coming up next. After Liz's story dump, the very next day, 28th May 2025, I think he responded like some hours later, but here's Landon's deleted IG story. First, I'm sorry. Let's follow this Reddit link, and okay, let's just watch this video for now. Oh my god, this is the Travis Scott Landon video. This is gonna piss me off because, believe it or not, I haven't watched this video this entire time, and it's been like almost a month since I started working on this video because I just knew this would piss me off, but I've watched parts of it, obviously. It was all over the internet. Let's go in.
People telling me to tell myself. I think other people telling me to tell myself and whatever for this thing that I am acknowledging is wrong, and it's not.
The story immediately starts out with Landon saying, people are telling me to kill myself, which is absolutely wrong. Everybody can agree. So he immediately starts off his apology, eliciting sympathy from us, eliciting this thing of like, oh, he says a statement that everybody agrees with. Everybody agrees that telling somebody to kill themselves, no matter what they did, is wrong. Like, because it is a very common thing on the internet, so much so that there is an abbreviation for it. It's KYS. But yeah, you know, that is not a very nice thing to hear, and it is a morally wrong thing to do.
Agreed. Let's go on. But yeah, he's establishing this place where immediately he tells us about something where we've already taken his side. But let's go on to the next thing.
5-10 minutes of my life texting somebody that I don't give a fuck about, jeopardizing everything that I have. Like, it's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I deserve the hate, and...
Okay, here he acknowledges that he deserves the hate, which is excellent observational skills on his part, because yes, people are telling you to do that, but also it's the internet. People are going to tell you to do that all the time, and you're not really supposed to take that to heart. Obviously, that's not to minimize anybody's experiences, but like, you did something very bad. So there's this slight moment of acknowledgement. Obviously, also I'm going into this completely blind, so yeah. But also he's doing this thing where this is a very common thing men do, which, you know, everybody knows people do this, like, I love you, I don't care about her, I love you. This was lust, this was not love, and that's different. And, you know, just a lot of manosphere content creators talk about like, oh, men can cheat, but if they really don't love that other person, it shouldn't really matter, you know? So that kind of sentiment is brewing here early in the video, but he has this slight moment of acknowledgement. Also, obviously, this entire video is very, like, it feels very candid, but I do think he thought about it a little bit before he posted it, as opposed to Liz, who might have posted what she felt in the moment because there were typos, stuff like that. But even though you feel like this video is like very natural and stuff like that, it's very, very well put for it to be just like, he just opened his phone camera and he started recording. If he didn't have somebody at least proofread his apology, he thought about it for a little bit, even though, you know, it looks natural. I think it's framed a certain way for sure.
There's not a single person on this fucking planet that is more disappointed or upset. So,
I think there is, Landon. I think your future child and wife are probably more disappointed and upset at you than you are, because they wouldn't do that action themselves. But let's go on. But yeah, here's this extreme language of how bad he feels, you know? Let's go on.
So, I don't expect you guys to understand, but
I don't expect you guys to understand. Kind of emo, go on ahead. But yeah, this framing of like, you might not understand because there's so much depth to the situation, and there really is not a lot of nuance to the situation, but let's carry on.
You take into consideration that you can make a mistake and get better, and this isn't...
You can truly make a mistake and get better, I would know, but it is very rare that somebody that's cheated once doesn't cheat again. It's rare. I'm sure it's happened once or twice in the history of the universe, but to quote, he's just not that into you, you're the rule, not the exception. So no, your boyfriend is going to cheat on you again, most probably. But yeah, sometimes you're the exception, not the rule. But that's very rare. But yeah, you can truly make a mistake and get better, but according to Abby's allegations, Landon has done this multiple times to her, so this is just a pattern at this point, right? You can only get better if you intend on getting better, and does this person intend on getting better? I don't know.
Isn't it just a mistake, right? Like, this is breaking trust, but...
This is not just a mistake, this is breaking trust. That is a good point. But instead of following that up with and, he says but. So the next thing that is coming is not a different sentence, because he says but, it is actually but here's why you should forgive me. So let's hear it.
I realize what I did was wrong.
Okay, I realize what I did was wrong. Okay.
And it's never gonna happen again. Doesn't mean it's okay, but...
That's not what the pattern says, if the pattern is true, but let's carry on.
Very final thing. Look, I fucked up huge.
He's always saying this. He's always like, final thing, final thing. It's never the final thing. You're always posting on your story, spamming it. And I get it, bro. I get it. But come on. Anyways, let's go on. He says,
I'm not a perfect person. I made a mistake. I'm not... Doesn't mean it's okay, but... Very final thing. Look, I fucked up huge. I'm not a perfect person.
Who said you were a perfect person? I'm sorry, that caught me so off guard that I had to be like, what? So that's kind of appealing to our, you know, oh, I'm not a perfect person either. I've made mistakes. Yeah, so he's really positioning us in this place where we empathize with him. But also, in this apology, he is not actively addressing what he did, right? And later, he makes up for that quite insanely, where he himself posts the proof of him cheating on his story with a little quote that says something accountability. But in this video, this is a very picturesque representation of how social media figures apologize for things. And I don't necessarily blame every single person that does this, because all of your fan base does not need to know every single allegation waged against you if it does not hold any like real world value. Like if somebody accuses you of being a freaking whatever and you're not that thing, you don't have to. But like if you are a cheater, somebody accused you of cheating and it is true, then I think the way people go about it is actually saying, hey, I cheated. Not once in this entire apology video is... Wait, actually, let's go back in a little bit to see. Yes, he says this was 10-15 minutes of me messaging this person, but that's a very minimized way of saying it was 10-15 minutes of me cheating on my partner who is 4 months pregnant with my child, you know? So it is a very, very, like, you know, he's been a YouTuber for a very long time, but also Landon can afford to do this on his story and stuff, because even though he's a public figure, nobody who can understand the gravity of the situation to its fullest actively follows Landon, or followed Landon before Liz. His fan base is truly children, obviously. He made children's content, which there's nothing wrong with, but, you know, Landon can afford to be a little, loosey-gooseier with the stuff he posts on his story. But yeah, you know, his responses and his stuff seem a little more put through a filter than other responses we see from Liz.
I made a mistake, a huge mistake, and although that's the case, like, I genuinely am curious if you guys believe that people can make mistakes and get better, and I genuinely...
Okay. A lot of use of the word genuinely here, and he is asking us a question. Do you think that someone can make a mistake and get better? Here's another thing. Like, this is a question that obviously every single person on planet Earth, their answer to this is going to be yes, but that's not what you think, right? Right when you hear that, you're like, yeah, I do think so. So then your next natural thought progression from that is, oh, so I should maybe apply that to you as well. See how subtle that is, right? And this is me going into this blind. If I were to really, really like break down every part of his apology, I could give you a lot more, but this is me just pointing out slight ways of phrasing as somebody that works in social media and film and stuff like that. And writing, you know, like as somebody who works and goes to college to learn how to make people perceive something a certain way. This is just things that I'm noticing right off the bat as I'm seeing this. And I do not care to break this down more. Other people can do that, but this is just me telling you, right? So it is so subtle. It's so like, you're like, oh, you know, wow, he's so deeply affected by this that he wants us to tell him, can somebody that made a mistake genuinely recover and be a better person from that? Yes. So that is, he did that in the beginning where he's like, people ask me to kill myself. You shouldn't do that. Agreed. The next story, pretty much right in the beginning, he's asking, do you guys think that? Not applying that to himself, but just asking us that. But then the next natural progression in our head is to apply that to ourselves. So either Landon is fairly articulate and smart in the sense that he knows how to make people perceive things a certain way, although he is not fooling anyone here, or he had somebody proofread this, right?
Pray that in the event that I am able to clearly demonstrate that this is not who I am, this is not who I want to be, this is not who I will be moving forward, for the sake of my family and Liz, most importantly Liz, that if I'm able to earn her trust back and earn her respect back, that you do not evil eye the shit out of her or my family.
Okay. I think he just said evil eye. Nazar. Kannattam. Bro, I'm Indian, okay? I know what he's talking about. I was not raised Hindu, which is the mythology that this all comes from, but oh god. Like, see, this is why I am just so, and also my fascination with true crime and just reading a lot about cults, this is why I am just so careful when dealing with hippies, because what on earth did you just use the evil eye for? Okay, so basically what he said, because like, that's not even the right way to say that, but oh god, that's like the Instagram bro version of saying that, and I feel like the manifestation girlies would agree with me, but basically he's saying, right here, he has every intention of winning Liz back, right? Every move he's made from this point on out is him desperately. Remember the Kanye crash out of 2020 or 2021 or something like that? Or, I'll put the date here, but where, reasonable crash out, like, guys, what would you do if your ex and the mother of your children started dating Pete Davidson? I'm sorry, like, no hate towards Pete, but like, you know, it's very unexpected. It's very unexpected, like, I would crash out a little bit too, but he was threatening Kim, stuff like that, but you know, that is like the fully honest, fully open version of what Landon is doing here. For somebody that's allegedly manipulated all of these women and stuff like that, Landon Nickerson's next task was going to be to successfully convince and manipulate the internet, which is almost nearly impossible, right? But the thing is, the way things played out in a little bit, he found himself a loophole to not do that, not have to do that to convince Liz. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. He says, my family, and more importantly, Liz. What makes Liz more important than your child? That is a question. I'll just leave that out there. But he says, in the case that I'm able to win Liz back, in the case that I'm able to do that, he fully expects to be able to do that. Or whatever doubts he has in his mind, he has set an intention to do that, right? You guys don't evil eye my family. Basically what he's saying is like, oh god. What he is saying is, please don't send hate and please don't try to talk sense into Liz into not staying with me, because growing up without a father is hard, but it might be better than growing up without an abusive father, you know? But yeah, he's basically saying, please do not try and talk sense into Liz. Please do not do your little hate campaigns and try to knock sense into her, because that will be me winning. And we just want to live peacefully as a family. But happily ever after doesn't exist if you're not with a good person. Happily ever after can't exist if you're living with the villain and not, you know, Prince Charming or whatever, but also Prince Charming doesn't exist. But also if he did, that would not be Landon Nickerson. Prince Charming wouldn't do this to you, but he doesn't exist. But if he did, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so Landon is saying that. That's what he's saying, okay? To convert Landon speak into English, that's what he just said. But the evil eye, what he said is kind of, he's using that whole manifestation, like he's using this heavily culturally appropriated thing, which is the evil eye. He's like, Nazar, or the evil eye, is basically like when you're doing really well in life and people look at you and they're like, hey, oh my god. See, that's why it makes no sense. Like, Landon does not know what the evil eye is, dude. Like, it's basically somebody being like, oh my god, you're doing so well and whatever, but then you're kind of thinking, it's like the belief is that if a lot of people are kind of thinking, oh my god, you're doing so well, there can be this element of jealousy that they have towards you that will then go into the universe and bring you bad karma because you made that person feel bad about themselves, right? That's what it is. But he's saying, I hope you guys don't evil eye this, in a way of like, I hope y'all aren't, he took that basic concept of jealousy and he was like, I hope you guys don't, but like, that makes no sense. If y'all get back together, no one's gonna be like, oh my god, this is perfect, and be jealous, because that's the way the evil eye works. And that's why I'm saying, that's why my translation for what he said was what it was, okay? I hope that makes sense. Like, if there is an adorable baby, like, you'll put kajal or eyeliner on their face, like on the side of their face, just put a little mole on it, just to make sure, like, oh, you don't get again, so you don't get nazar, so you don't get evil eye, right? Which is just a very, like, harmless belief that comes from this mythology and this religion of otherwise peace and dignity, right? So, yeah. Okay, oh, there's a little bit more, so.
You can hate me. This is a big mistake.
He gives us permission to hate him. Thank you. I will use that to the fullest extent. He says this was a big mistake again. All right. Oh, what just happened? What?
Redeemable or not, You can hate me. This is a big mistake. Redeemable or not, all I ask is that you give me enough grace, or if that's what's supposed to happen here, that it happens.
I don't really know what he said towards the end there, but I think he was kind of just saying, if that's what happens, I hope you give me enough grace, or if that's what's supposed to happen, whatever. But yeah, see, I went into this blind, but I come out of this a believer. I come out of this believing Abby's story, believing all of the allegations waged against Landon, because yes, this can just be written and proofread by a media-trained professional, and yeah, you might be like, that is extremely slimy. Yes, social media is a business of making people like you, so yeah, it's a slimy world out there. It is cold. Don't forget your jacket. But yeah, so definitely, absolutely, 100% agree. But if this is Landon, if this is just Landon out the bat, he pulled up with this, like, this is naturally a person who is very, very in tune with how to make people act the way he wants them to act. I don't know what his damage is, but you don't necessarily have to have damage to be like this. Some of the reactions to this apology, obviously this apology was actually not very well received, because even though he used a lot of manipulation tactics on the internet, Landon Nickerson, see, here's the thing. These tactics can only work so much if the internet isn't already in love with you. The only adults that really knew you were Liz's fans. So yeah, your apology is going to be heavily scrutinized. So it is not out of a lack of ability to manipulate that Landon Nickerson's apology didn't pan out the way that he wanted. It was genuinely just because he didn't have, like, you can only manipulate someone so much if they don't like you in the first place, you know? So yeah. The apology was not well received. Here's some reactions to it. Initial reactions 25 days ago. Not the typical, I've been getting death threats. Come on, that's off topic. True. He's just using the victim card. Death threats can be a very traumatizing thing, but yeah, like, off topic, sure. Also, did he just say don't evilize Liz if we get back together? No, he didn't say evilize. He said don't give us evil eyes. But that's what I heard in the beginning too, because the way he said it doesn't even make sense. He said don't evil eye. I sure as hell she won't go back. That will teach her young fans to keep forgiving men like this. Don't be so sure. Don't be so sure. But that's upcoming. But yeah, like, think about your words a little before posting. Jesus, he doesn't sound remorseful at all. I think he thought about his words heavily before posting, but he doesn't have inner remorse, or at least I believe he doesn't, and there's only so much you can do. Yeah, crazy how he's worried about the evil eye of their audiences. Sir, worry about yourself and your own wandering eye. That is so funny. Oh, jealous ideal? OMG. I remember you. Anyways, all right, let's go. Landon, just wondering who all I know is still here. I just got back from London with Liz. He had just traveled with Liz, by the way. That's that picture that he posted? Yeah, he had just gotten back from London. In NYC Tuesday, then back in Dallas for a week. Do you have plans? The other woman, aren't you married? I don't know. Calling her the other woman also feels weird because she didn't engage with him. So I'm just gonna say me. Okay, Landon, no. Plus just looking for friends. And then he changed chats to delete immediately. So I think she took these pictures at that time. I'll just say her. Problem solved. Her. Since when aren't you married? So he says plus just looking for friends, but then he changes the chats to delete immediately. Landon, yeah, well, it's a complicated long distance internet thing that you got pregnant, by the way. Sorry, the wizard Liz is not a thing. She's a person that has been deeply injured. But hey. But no, I'm not married, lol. Nikah is the same thing as being married. But anyways, not a normal life for sure. Me when I marry a Muslim person, not a normal life for sure. I did a nikah with them. Like, shut up, dude. Literally shut up. Her. So your whole relationship is fake? Landon, no, it's not. No, it's not. But I'm not married. That part is not real. She's like, what does that even mean? Okay, so why are you in a relationship if you are... Why are you texting me if you're in a relationship? Because right here he says... She says, aren't you married? So he's like, I'm not married, but I am in a relationship, but I'm just looking for friends. That part's not real. What does that even mean? He says, haha, do you want to see me? I can tell you in person. She says, I don't want to hang out with married men, and I saw you wearing a wedding ring. Landon says, well, that's fair, but no, not married. She sends him this picture. It's very grainy, but he's wearing a wedding band, and she says, laughing emoji. So I think these are the pictures that she sent Liz, showing her what Landon did. Oh, and God, that's worn for the video. Freaking laughing, dying emoji. But never mind. It's complicated. Explain. No, never mind. I told you, it's complicated. Not legally married. Maybe will be. Yeah, okay, so I think my assumption was correct. Maybe they're not, in fact, legally married, but they've done the nikah, which is literally the same thing. It's like if you had a big wedding party and you got married with like a priest and everything, like if you're having a traditional Christian wedding and you exchanged the vows and you got married with a priest and everything, but you just haven't signed the government paperwork. That's what he's saying, okay? Which I don't even know if that's verified or not, but that's what people were saying. Her. Either way, if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be trying to hang out with girls. Yeah, Liz was like, that is so embarrassing that she had to tell you that. Like, what? But he says, why were you going to come courtside with me then? Just curious, but your point is valid. What's your point? You invited my boyfriend and I, and we never came. Okay, so she has a boyfriend as well, which is why Landon might have felt comfortable telling her that he was in a relationship, though. I didn't know you had a boyfriend at the time. And no, not trying to pull a fast one on you, lol. Was just curious. But you said it yourself. You're in a relationship right now, so why are you trying to hang out with me? Well, was not trying to date you, but you're right. Even if the situation is complicated or unresolved, I shouldn't message you. I am sorry. Maybe I'll explain more one day. You didn't have to. So these are the messages, okay? Now, He posted this himself. Is he aware that it makes him look wild? There is one little thing that he posted an hour later, which was a quote about accountability, but that's not in this thread, so I'll pull that up later. I think she posted them on his account. I don't think so. That girl was clocking him. He backtracked so hard. He really did. No, seriously, a round of applause for her. Complicated long distance internet thing. Yeah, that's what I said. A whole engagement with a baby, mind you. Okay. All right. Okay. What's next? 3rd June 2025. Landon's "I'm a victim too, give Liz a break" Reddit post. Let's go. So this is after Abby's narrative comes back. He says, "I'm taking my power back, please. I am done not defending myself. I'm done not respecting myself. I think you respect yourself a little too much. You're egoistical. That's your problem. I am not Joe Goldberg of the internet." Okay, so here's Landon's accusations against Abby, okay? I'm going to show this to you before I show you what the general consensus on this is. Before Liz, I was in a one-year relationship with the most toxic, manipulative, abusive, lying, cheating, narcissistic person I know. After that relationship ended, all I felt was bad for them. I was dumbfounded when I read that after I'd watched Abby's video, because Abby said that same exact thing about Landon. So she was like, at the end of the day, we just need to pray for an individual, and I just felt bad for him, you know? I began healing. I prayed for them. That's what she said. You watched her video and you kind of just turned it around on her. I never spoke publicly about what I endured because why keep giving them my energy? That's what she said, but she was kind of just like, I didn't want to speak publicly because I didn't know how things were going to pan out. I thought that people were going to say that I was lying, which obviously they did, because that's what happens every time a woman comes out. However, now that they feel they have the permission to jump on this international Landon hate train, oh my god, you know what this is giving? It's giving that woman with the lipstick, the choo-choo hate train, the freaking ukulele video. They took this viral opportunity, which they have nothing to do with, to dox me, leak my work number. Okay, so what they're talking about is, Abby didn't dox Landon, as far as I'm aware. Leaking Landon's work number, when Abby was showing her text with Landon, the number was accidentally there. I do not believe it was intentional, but anyways. And making up lies, saying whatever they can for their own personal and monetary gain. Okay, I'm done not defending myself. Congratulations on proving yourself a fool. I'm no longer going to be messed with. Okay, 1. How crazy is it for your abuser to claim you physically abused them when you have never and would never hit a woman, even when they hit you and you endured many chances of physical abuse from them? Many instances provable in court. My attorneys would see you there. When I first saw this, I was actually insanely worried. I was like, oh, this could have been a mutually abusive relationship. Like, there might be something to this, and there still might be, okay? But obviously, just because this has happened to you doesn't excuse other bad things you've done, but this might have something, okay, there. But the thing is, a lot of people who see this and who are experienced with this kind of thing say that this more so looks to them like it's self-defense wounds rather than inflicted wounds. Like, because if you're mad at somebody, like, even if you're like going ahead to like scratch them, right? Like, you're like, they're leaving and you're mad at them, they're turned away from you, you go ahead and you scratch them. Like, look at how the wounds are. A lot of people think it's self-defense wounds from like, if he is on top of you and you're trying to get him off of you, like you just are scratching and hitting and pinching and trying to pull him away. But this is, again, literally all alleged, and this could be a serious, I mean, it's serious either way, but it is definitely, this could be real, but yeah. And many instances of physical abuse from them. Here we see a typo where I'm like, okay, see, you didn't even get someone to proofread this, you kind of did all of this. Yeah. Provable in court, my attorneys will see you there. Empty threat, I think. And also, if there's many instances, why didn't you, I'm just confused why there aren't more recordings or any of that, but that's also not something that you just ask a victim, because there's a plethora of reasons why you couldn't get like a recording of your wounds or whatever. But number 2, ask yourself what their motivation is for doing something. Abby made pretty clear what her motivation was, because she just was like, hey, when Liz and Landon got together, oh, that's the other thing. When Liz and Landon got together, Abby sent her a text warning her about Landon, which Liz chose to ignore. So Abby, I think, was just trying to give people context on, oh, this isn't completely unnatural for somebody like Landon to do, right? So I think that was her motivation, because if she has even a little bit of just social media experience, she will know that claiming that a man has assaulted you or abused you is the easiest way to get a hate train against you, and any monetary gain you gain from it, if any, is not, and I mean definitely not, worth all of the hate you'll be getting, because there's this idea that like, oh, they'll just get so much support and whatever, like that it's just so easy, but it really is not, in my opinion. Saying I creepily Joe Goldberg style found the same therapy when we moved to Miami. Lol, our old therapist, by the way. Okay, this is another place where he talks about him being Joe Goldberg. Good God, your obsession with that show, Landon. Okay, let me take a little screenshot of this. Okay, our old therapist. I'm not at this time. Amber, hi Landon, how are you managing? Not well. Felt she had the permission to just come out and post false things about our past relationship, including saying that I somehow reverse engineered finding you as my therapist because I somehow knew she went to you. Reverse engineered? You both were initially supposed to come for a couple session, and then we had our individual session first. Exactly. Here's the thing. Is Amber the therapist that worked in Miami? See, I don't want to go and look into like where Amber worked and stuff like that. I could find it, but I feel like that's kind of invasive, so I'm not going to go ahead and do that. But
they had two therapists, according to Abby. The first therapist that they had scheduled for a couple session, which was not in Miami, as far as I'm aware. That was while they were living together somewhere else. I'm pretty sure Dallas, Texas. And then Landon had a session with that therapist, and that might not be the therapist Abby was talking about that Landon took her to for BPD. But here's the thing: there's no way that that they had the same therapist or like couple session or whatever, because, dude, she's saying that you found her therapist after she moved away and had cut all contact with you and broken up with you. You're saying that. You are saying that. So, like, that's what she said. Like, make it make sense. Like, you could not have been booked for a couple session with this therapist, because just the narrative doesn't make sense, because Abby said that you found her therapist after she moved to a new city and had already broken up with you and cut ties with you. Next. Abby had a miscarriage at some point, but we were pregnant. I can't block you until I know I'm not pregnant. In that case, I hope you're not pregnant. If I'm pregnant with your baby, then we're going to do the mature thing and get rid of it, and you will fund that whole excursion. Have a great life, Landon. If I'm pregnant, I'm going to send you the bill for my treatment. See, she had a miscarriage while she was pregnant with Landon's child, and she says that that was happening while she was pregnant with his child. He was not taking care of her. He was emotionally absent, so that kind of makes sense. I hope one day you get pregnant and she has a miscarriage and understand what she went through, because that's what I did alone, and then I hope you make her pay for everything. So I think she's talking about, okay, so I think maybe she had a pregnancy scare after her initial miscarriage, and this is where this text exchange is coming from, because here she's talking about, hey, like, I hope you, whatever, like, she's talking from an emotional place. Fake pregnancy / manipulations. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? She might have had a pregnancy scare, but to think, so we were pregnant is a different day, okay? That might have been before, like, the whole miscarriage thing, and this right here. Anyways, next. Oh yeah, to think she's doing all this lying while meeting sugar daddies. I thought this was real. Serial liar, by the way. Cody Mack looked nothing like me. Darby looked nothing like me. Luke doesn't look like me. James doesn't look like me. Mondo gave me thousands of dollars and was a client. Z didn't look like me. Jack didn't look like me. Zed didn't look like me. What's your point? Cody, I blocked and didn't even kiss. I never cheated on you with any of them. I get James and Mondo. Okay, so I think this was part of her job, though. The rest are stretches, and you know that. I didn't cheat on you with any of them, and Mondo you knew about. That was a client. And James, you read the message and saw what he was holding over my head. For that, I can admit shame. I entertained Jed because I was a bottle girl and booked him and got 10%. Same with Cody. That was a friendship. What is this text? Just giving you a sense of the person. Thank God I saved all our messages. I don't know. This proves nothing to me, because you knew that this was her line of work, and she's saying that you had full awareness of what was happening. Number 5. Imagine dropping your girlfriend off at the airport to go see her girls in Vegas, when in reality, she went to meet a rich, fat, old sugar daddy multiple times. Funny at this point. That's... okay. All right, you're welcome. Detroit is where Z is, right? Real estate convention? Is the biggest augmented reality expo as far as I'm aware. Need to get in there next year. You need to. And IDK, I'm getting some paperwork signed for us. NDA because I've sent you nudes and told you a lot of info. Just safe for us. Law, what? What do you mean? You want me to sign an NDA because you sent me nudes? Or because I know about Z? That's weird. Nudes, family, drama. You probably signed an NDA with Z. It's just weird. You were so worried about people finding out Z, so I put his name right here so he knows you lied when you told him you wouldn't tell anyone about his marital affairs either. So I think she had a sugar daddy, which I really don't care unless Landon did not know about that. But nothing in these text exchanges screams that Landon did not know that he was dropping off her to see her sugar daddy. And she wanted to make him sign an NDA because nudes, I do not think she distributes nudes online anywhere. So obviously that could jeopardize her career, and also she's not comfortable with that. And also, she's in a relationship with this man. So I feel like if you don't tell him about your sugar daddy, that's a problem. So she clearly told you about Z, who's her sugar daddy. So how are you saying that she went to Vegas to see her? I didn't know that she was going to see her sugar daddy, when here she clearly says, like, hey, I want you to sign an NDA because you know about Z. And he's like, you probably signed an NDA with Z. I hope he knows that you told everybody, you told me about his thing, but like, she was in a relationship with you, and that's what you're supposed to do in a relationship. I just don't understand, because clearly just looking at this, you know that this is like, doesn't make sense. And what? Then Landon says, I believe this person is a pathological liar, and I hate to even post this to the internet, but I'm done not defending myself. This person does not care about what happens between Liz and I. I don't think that's true, because she literally warned Liz and stuff like that, but that's my personal opinion. She just wants to personally and monetarily benefit from my image. I don't think anyone's benefiting from associating themselves with you. My legal team is beginning to litigate to the full extent of the law. Somehow all this made people forget I'm an intelligent, self-made, multimillionaire, serial entrepreneur. Why did you say serial entrepreneur? AKA, I'm smart enough to defend myself and get my bag. Thank you, next. Landon, what is this? What is this? Thumbs up, thumbs up. Oh, Lord. Yeah, here's another person saying, bro, also when I searched up his name, and his face is so familiar, turns out this guy, I used to watch his Roblox videos when I was younger. He was giving out free Robux. I don't know, that's her type. I was in his Duck Squad group, and I remember when he got banned in Roblox. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I'm kind of pretty proud of all the research I did here, because nothing leaves questions. Everything is like, yeah, but this video took me the longest to make out of all my videos. The only other video that took longer to make is actively I'm still making, is my Anna Blue video, which, if you know, you know. Okay, addressing her last story. Okay, now 29th May. Landon posted a story and deleted it when it was not well received on 28th May. 29th May is Landon posting on his Instagram the screenshots from his Snapchat story with the other girl. Let's go. Okay, and yes, he posted it himself, which is insane. But these are, I
I think these are screenshots or these are pictures that the girl took. They're not pictures that Landon took because obviously Landon here, and me. So these are from the girl's perspective, but when he got these pictures, or maybe the girl leaked these pictures online and Landon decided to just put that on his story, which I think that was his way of showing the world that he was taking accountability, or also hoping that like people will think it was not as bad, but it didn't really work out in his favor. So I'm not going to read the whole exchange, but Landon, or maybe I will. It's not even that long. Landon, are you still in Dallas? Me. Yeah, why? Next, let's talk about... Okay, here's a little thing that happened on the 30th of May, and you might be like, why is this relevant? But trust me, dude, trust me, this is very relevant, because here's the thing, when somebody gets cheated on, people, including themselves and the people around them, sometimes try to rationalize it as if like, what? The person themselves might be like, why me? I must have done something wrong to be cheated on, which is completely untrue. Like, even if the relationship was in a bad place or whatever, and parts of that was on you or whatever, right? Unless you were actively making it impossible for the person to leave you, the relation, like them cheating is inexcusable. People are talking about why could Liz have gotten cheated on, right? See, now were all of these people being like, oh my god, even Liz got cheated on. If Liz got cheated on, then why wouldn't I be cheated on? Which was another reason why I thought I would make a video on this, because I really just wanted to say, Liz isn't some kind of superior being to you just because she's conventionally attractive, knows how to present herself, and speaks in this manifesty language. Because people are so shocked because they think, if I do all of these things, I can never be hurt again. But the reality of life is you can try your best to never be traumatized again, and it will just happen. That's life. So all you can do is build this safety net around yourself and build yourself emotionally so you can stay stable as life rocks the boat hard, right? But yeah, you can go to as much therapy as you want. You can do all of the healing and still get trapped into a situation like this, but it's kind of like being vaccinated. Like, it'll protect you from it happening. Doesn't mean that it absolutely will not happen. But yeah. So people are talking about, why would Liz get cheated on? Some people are being like, oh my god, it's because all men suck. But then other people are talking about, it's because she didn't respect him enough. Now, this wouldn't be relevant at all if he didn't, because I think there was accusations of him actively lurking on the Wizard Liz Snark subreddit, which was really funny. Like, it started off as a joke, but then people were like actively analyzing the account and being like, this is Landon. I think he was actively studying what defenses he could use, because suddenly, from taking accountability and stuff like that at first, he went from that to being like, okay, let me just show you this right here. So there's this video where Liz straight up tells Landon, you are my current husband. And you can see clearly how humiliated and insecure he looks. Or when she's saying, if I ever leave, then it's just over and I get up again and have my own finances. Like, the dude standing there totally rattled, giving off major shaky vibes next to her. It's obvious he needed some serious validation, which probably explains why he started texting some girl on Snapchat and didn't even call their relationship real. Honestly, he probably hated how she treated him, but instead of being man enough and speaking up, he just acted dumb out of pure weakness. Classic. I do think that he found this excuse off the internet, because later, in his later stories, he would go on to say, the reason I texted a girl, this other girl, was not because I was looking for, I was gonna say coitus, because I didn't want to have to go back and censor this, but that's crazy. So let me just say physical intimacy. It's not because well, that's not the word to use, but it's not because I was looking for that. It was because I wanted to feel respected, and I hadn't felt respected for a long time. Now, what's happening with Liz at this point is her entire worldview is kind of shaking up of like, oh my god, I did all these things and I was still messed up so badly, right? Her entire worldview is falling apart in front of her eyes, and he is feeding into that, being like, it's actually because your philosophy was wrong. You didn't treat me with enough respect. He's talking about like, oh, I held open every door, I did everything, and she still didn't treat me with enough respect. So I was going on Snapchat.com looking for respect from some girl, okay? Snapchat doesn't even have... Snapchat. Who uses Snapchat? But anyways, I went on there looking for respect. So I think he kind of just latched on to popular narrative, because that's another thing of like, you know, a lot of people hate on somebody like Liz, being like, oh, you know, you're not respecting your husband. You're like, people often conflate like her teachings with like feminism or something, but feminism is more about equality, right? Not that she preaches anything else, because I haven't deep dived her videos enough to know that, right? But people have this narrative of like, oh, this woman who is like too much of a strong, independent woman, and she didn't give him enough respect, so my boy had to cheat, right? Almost. And then there's this other post that's very relevant here in the situation that we will get to in a little bit, but so he goes ahead and uses that excuse next, right? I had this video idea around the end of May, right when the situation with Wizard Liz happened, and today is July 1st, and I think that today might be my last day of editing. I can't begin to describe how I'm feeling right now, just because there's so much that's happened in this 1 month. I mean, it feeds into itself, right? I thought this was going to be a one and done case, a 10-minute video, and every day things just kept happening and happening. But it's gotten to the point, I mean, it's been a month, right? It's gotten to the point where it doesn't seem like there's, you know, around that time, I remember like every day I would go on the subreddit and I would just feel so overwhelmed. And I remember talking to Intelligent Table, being like, oh my god, dude, like what's happening? I feel like I'm losing my mind. But now it's, you know, I check the subreddit almost every day, and it's like, okay, you know, everything is slower. It's basically the same things and people talking about the same things over and over again. And it's kind of feeling like, although, you know, like even just the other day, you know, there was the latest update on this situation, which is that Landon will be staying in Liz's life. It
feels like the story has reached its natural conclusion. And I'm a perfectionist, so I really wanted to include literally everything. But if you've gotten to this point, if you've watched like an hour and a half, which is movie length, I put in a lot of effort into this, and honestly, I don't even mind, because I think with this video, I've truly like found my footing and found my style of how exactly I want to make videos. I mean, I've been making videos, I think, for the past year on and off because, well, college, but I think I now know for sure what my niche is, and I think it's investigating weird or bizarre cases, and I have several ideas lined up. So yeah, if you watched so far and if you've enjoyed, I would really, really appreciate if you think about liking the video, maybe subscribing if you want to see more, commenting something, anything, your experience, maybe some suggestions on how I can improve as an editor. And yeah, honestly, if you could share the video with somebody that you think would like going down this rabbit hole, that would also be awesome. So yeah, that said, let's move on. And this video's title might just be, it's still in working, but it might just be how the internet turned against a pregnant wizard Liz. Well, this chapter 9 is where that happens, right? Liz shames Abby after hearing Abby's narrative, which is kind of insane. I don't even know if Liz watched the whole thing, because I really don't know how you can say that after watching the whole video, but it was kind of grotesque. Abby had mentioned that, she had reached out to Liz while Liz and Landon, when Liz and Landon first got together, kind of telling her about, the overlap and how Landon was harassing Abby just a month ago, showing her proof, or actually just saying, but, giving her number and stuff like that. And Abby says that she did talk with somebody who had a Middle Eastern accent, but then Liz posts on her story about how this felt offensive to her and stuff like that. And Liz basically just goes on her story and is like, I think it was a shitty thing. I think it was a very bad thing that she did. She's suffered all of this trauma. I mean, so has Abby. I understand that maybe, just maybe, giving her all the grace in the world, maybe she felt like, this is a situation that she came out about and Abby was kind of stealing the spotlight almost, but that kind of feels like a weird way to think about this. Another part of this may be because Liz does not want to associate with Abby. One commenter talks about how Abby is more of like the insta-baddie stereotype, and Liz is very much trying to give like European, just not trad wife, definitely not trad wife, but more like leaning into some of that traditional thinking, definitely, in what is an ideal woman, right? Not too traditional, because then she wouldn't have a job, but like, you know what I mean. But anyways, Liz ends up reacting just horribly to Abby. But yeah, here's a TikTok talking about that.
The wizard Liz is going to completely destroy her online branding for a man, and that is perhaps the saddest part of the story, is that she does inherently believe that she is more special than the rest of us and that she is the exception. And I truly believe that she thinks that she can change Landon, which is why she publicly shamed Abby online. Not because she doesn't believe Abby, but because she doesn't want to believe Abby. In fact, she probably thinks that Abby didn't deserve Landon because Abby just wasn't special enough. She wasn't the prize, but Liz is the prize. And I just don't think that Liz is completely over Landon and that she is done with him. I think that she's going to get back with him, kind of under the wraps, right? And when he has shown her and proven to her after enough time that he has changed, she will come forward publicly and say, look at this man that I changed. And it won't be impressive, because he'll just do it again to her. He'll just cheat on her again when she is at her most vulnerable and most trusting. And that is what narcissistic men do. And I think the second you are able to sit down, look yourself in the mirror and say, I am not more special than the girl before me or the girl after me. This is a pattern that they follow, and there is nothing I could have done to change this. The second she sits down and she tells herself that will be the beginning of her healing, okay? Anytime someone thinks that they are the biggest prize in the world, they have the biggest fall, because they've put themselves so high above everyone else, thinking that they are so much better than you or me, that when they fall, they are just so unready to accept that reality that they create these delusions in their head as to, how everyone else is to blame except the person that did them bad. I knew as soon as she posted these stories that these were going to be deleted because they're extremely emotionally charged and not at all based on fact. Very victim blaming, very much like girl that got cheated on in high school and then blames the other woman instead of blaming her man. Liz is just not at that point yet to really understand the position that she's in. The best advice that I can ever offer Wizard Liz at this moment is to get off the internet for a good 6 months to a year. Go to therapy, take your time to heal, because what you went through was extremely traumatic and it has completely turned over all the beliefs that you've had in yourself, that you are more special and that you are unique. And you know what? We all want to have these beliefs about ourselves, but at the end of the day, narcissistic people, they don't see others as unique or special. They see them as targets. So when you come back and you're ready again to date and you're ready again to give advice to other people, change your vision around, okay? Because putting yourself on a pedestal and becoming a prize is not the equation solution to a long-lasting happy relationship. It is the solution to get a man to idealize you and to love bomb you for a few months to a year or two, too. But then at the end of the day, he is always going to leave when he realizes that this was all just an illusion. At the end of the day, we were all just people. Of course, we all want to be loved and we all want to feel special, but that relationship where you're put on a pedestal and a man says, I've never actually loved anyone before you, and even though I've had girlfriends, I knew when I met you it was love at first sight and that you were so different from all of them. That kind of man is a red flag, and he doesn't exist in real life, okay? If a man is like that to you, then that is so obviously someone that you need to stay away from. I'm sorry and I'm gonna say it, but I just don't think that anyone should be taking advice from Wizard Liz at the moment. I really think that she needs to heal and that she needs to stop victim blaming others, because at the end of the day, like, I can only defend someone so far. Abby has been through a lot as well, and she didn't deserve that.
So after Liz talked about how Abby is not a victim and kind of completely believed Landon's narrative of Abby just, I don't even know, because Liz kind of just is like, oh, this girl has sugar daddies, and that in and of itself is supposed to be some kind of statement on why Abby should not be trusted, and it was just very odd. Either way, people kind of started turning against Liz, right? So Liz didn't want people to have the attention taken away from her, maybe, but because she reacted like this towards another woman, it actually ended up kind of just making Liz look really bad, like she didn't have empathy, right? Because this was another woman that she could be sharing her pain with, but she's still choosing this man that's betrayed her. And 27 days ago, Soggy Toe, okay, basically writes, OP, immediately stopped supporting Liz after seeing her stories. This is under Crashing Out on the Wizard Liz Snark. Not going to lie, I was a fan of Liz since 2022 or 2023. I saw Abby's videos on Landon, and she spoke about how much Landon had abused and manipulated her, and how much it took for her to open up and be vulnerable about this topic. Even made me cry because that girl genuinely went through insane stuff. And to see Liz just call her a straight up liar, a cheater, and defend someone who literally cheated on her, proceeded to say keep out of people's messes, as if she isn't the world's most famous woman guru and knows people will in fact speak up about their experience with Landon. And it's the fact that Liz knew that people would in fact hate on this poor girl, knowing the guts it took her to speak up. It actually tore my heart apart, seeing the amount of hate that poor girl was getting on her TikTok account. I'm actually so enraged. I was so supportive of Liz throughout her pregnancy, but it gets to a point. I can't defend her anymore. She's not a girl's girl. She's not what she used to preach about. Liz's fan base is kind of turning against her, right, in this moment. And what happens from that is Liz is already in this vulnerable place. According to this philosophy that she had built for herself, if she had done everything right, she would not have had this happen to her. She was vibrating on the right frequency, whatever that means. She was doing all of the stuff right, but she still got betrayed. So her entire worldview is kind of crashing down around her. And then suddenly, now her own fans are turning against her and sending her copious amounts of hate, right? Now what happens here is Liz is feeling utterly isolated, and also Liz doesn't see the internet as like several individual people. She's seeing it as this one mob that's coming after her. So whatever the internet now says about how Landon is manipulative or anything like that, it's kind of discrediting that, because Liz is already getting so much hate on the internet, and Liz is like, I don't deserve this. Look at the terrible situation I'm in. You know, Liz is just genuinely extremely confused, I think, or was extremely confused when she posted that. Was it a good thing to do? No, it was genuinely the wrong thing to do. But now Liz has her entire worldview crumbling around her, and her fan base is like turning against her. And then there's also all of these men that were no women haters of Liz, by the way, were celebrating what happened to Liz. But if you had really like looked at the Instagram post that I was showing on screen earlier, you might have seen one very like disturbing post pop up on the screen. I'll put that on here now. Landon actually started also gathering a bunch of male supporters who were also commenting on Liz's profile, right? So there's two types of haters. Three. One end, there's people that think Liz is a narcissist, but they're still not celebrating what happened. But then they join also the faction of people that are just completely taken aback by Liz's reaction to Abby. And third, just men or people that are actually supporting Landon. And you might be like, what? But here's a post that actually summed it up really perfectly, because yeah, as I was scrolling on Instagram, I was like, what is this? Is this rage baiting? Like, what is this? Why are there people supporting Landon and being like I went to Landon's comment section and there were more people calling him like Sigma or something like that than people saying maybe like shame on you. And it was so frightening to see. But here, let's click on this, because this is just such a concise and good comment, I'd say. But worst news about Landon on the Wizard Liz Narc 1 month ago. I wish him more hell to come, but as he's a man, I just bet he will get away with the slap on the wrist. His investments on his businesses or whatnot will not go down, because businessmen are notorious for having mistresses and wives. So whoever he has contracts either or connections will not care that he cheated on his partner. He will just laugh about how he successfully managed to bag a beauty that everyone was chasing. At first, I thought his friends might be like, dude, WTF, but judging by his character, I don't think he has friends who are morally and ethically better than him. Landon will just get away with his reputation intact, and Liz will be the single mom. To his friends, he just scored a baddie and made her pregnant. Women's misery is a trophy for men. That last sentence, I think, altered my brain chemistry a little bit, because yeah, that is what was happening, right? All of these men are just laughing and calling Landon all of these endearing terms, because they're like, oh, finally somebody humbled this, like, you know, this
who is actually standing up for herself and talking about how she just wants to make it in this world without caring about how people perceive her, you know? One last response from Landon. I know you're probably sick of hearing from him, but this is the last one. Okay, yeah, people are like, using God as a cover-up is insane. Here's Landon's, notes app response about him being calculated, because a lot of women were like, were you just trying to humble her and teach her a lesson because this feels like so calculated? Why would you do this to a woman whose whole platform is how this would not be done to her? Oh my god, it starts with my final comment. Stop it, Landon, stop it. He's every single one of it starts with my final comment. Maybe he's like terrified of people saying like, you keep talking about, I don't even know, dude. Or maybe he's like oh my god, because he does believe in manifestation. Maybe he's manifesting. He's like, my final comment, please. I don't want to have to comment on this anymore. And every time he just posts more stuff, but Landon, my final comment, good lord, because I know for a fact there were like 5 or 6 more after this. To any person saying that I plan to hurt her, that I never loved her, I pray you realize that you are only hurting her more. No woman should ever experience this pain, and no man should ever try to justify this pain regardless of what problems may exist in some relationship. Okay, then what? Because this was his, like, I think this was his second or third response to the situation. This issue started before our pregnancy. That's not helping your case, Landon. This was not calculated. My wife, my greatest blessing, who you had a fake marriage with in a long-distance internet thing, bro, unfairly had no knowledge of something that I was too weak to even acknowledge myself. I hurt her deeply, and this is my greatest failure. God promotes good and despises evil. I pray the internet stops using this failure of mine to promote further division, distrust, and hate. God blesses those who seek and honor his blessings. God revokes those blessings from the dishonorable and replaces them with lessons that lead us closer to him. Where are we right now? What are we talking about right now? I am committed to repairing all that I have broken, and I'm working to ensure this never happens again. Huh? You have to work to ensure that you don't cheat on your wife again? Okay, yeah, I'm actively working on it, babe. Just give me like a couple more decades and I'll finally get there. I'll finally get there and I'll never cheat on you. I am deeply sorry to all I have hurt, to my family, my team, and most importantly, Liz. How about your future kid, dude? How about that? Because he's gonna see all this stuff about his dad and know just how much of a deadbeat you were before he was even born. So, you ever think about that? You ever think about that? This analysis that this person did on Landon's statement about Abby's allegations, which is this link right here. Landon's attempt at using Darvo on us, right? Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. That's exactly what he's doing. Suddenly he's the victim. Suddenly she's the aggressor for having the courage to speak. She was angry. She was strong. She kept living. That doesn't discredit her. I stand with Abby. I believe Abby and all survivors of Landon. Fake pregnancy, someone who wants to be a good father. This narcissist thinks we're dumb enough to believe that. If he really wanted to be a great father, he wouldn't be posting beef with his ex while Liz is at an ultrasound. Let's just go on the account that people thought was Landon's second account, because the stuff on here was genuinely so funny. No! No! The account got deleted! It got deleted, dude! No! Dude, I hate this so much because all of these things, all of these links that I click on, I have to like cross my fingers because Landon is actively deleting stuff and actively making sure stuff gets taken down. But just believe me when I freaking say, oh god, are you kidding me, dude? Just believe me when I say there was a post on this account that was so funny. He was like, someone was calling Landon ugly, and he was like, I've seen him in real life, by the way, and trust me, he looks better in real life. You've seen him in real life? And they're like, oh, and he's like taller than he seems in videos too. Like, that's what they said. And people were laughing at it. They said they've seen Landon in real life. And also, they're this woman that's had all of this experience in life. Also, you're... okay, yeah. Co-parenting together, and they seem to be on much better terms now. With Liz also kind of defending that stuff in her stories. But on to the final part of this video. Chapter 10, what does this all mean? Or what does this say about love? So here's literally the very last link that we have to look at. Here. 1 month ago, user Fairy Lost C4T
Stop questioning your relationships. Liz was never an example to follow in the first place. Just saying this is what I started making this video for. And it's insane the ride we've been on since, but it's crazy how so many of her fans are now questioning their own life choices and relationships when the signs were always there. From the start, we knew she had a toxic way of bonding with men through transactional dynamics. Liz herself admitted in her last Q&A that there was no real love or intimacy in her past relationships. We all knew they were transactional. Many people here called her out for how dangerous it is to encourage young women to choose men mostly based on how much money they spend on you, as if that guarantees love and loyalty. What she overlooked is that these types of men, especially when they're young like Landon, usually aren't serious. Most are just feeding their egos, flashing money to feel powerful. We out here throwing Robux. They don't care about being good fathers. These men are mostly controlled by lust and ego. Deep down, many are insecure and don't have much to offer beyond their wallets. They cover up their flaws by throwing money around. She consistently went for the same type: insecure, awkward rich guys who were amazed that a beautiful woman gave them attention, so amazed they'd go broke just to keep her around. One even ended up 40K of debt, and she paid it off for him. Landon got exactly what he wanted. He locked her in, finally had the woman he idealized fall for him, and once the chase was over, he got bored and needed attention from someone else. I do believe Liz truly loved and trusted him compared to her previous relationships. That's why she let her guard down and continues to do so, as you should in a trustworthy relationship. But the truth is, he wasn't in love with her. He was in love with the wizard Liz, the public persona. And that's what happens when you build an identity online. Eventually, people fall in love with the character, not the real person. He created this fantasy version of her, and when the illusion faded, he lost interest. He showed signs of insecurity from day one. Wasn't Liz the one constantly warning us about insecure men? I know she's going through a lot right now, and she is human, and no one is perfect. See? This the kind of thing, dude. Remember the whole "I'm not a perfect person" that Landon said? It's such a common phrase to say no one is perfect. Anyways, that was a tangent. But maybe people would actually see her as a human if she hadn't built a false narrative on social media. But that's literally what she does for her job, though. Let's go on. Because yes, she did. She sold this dream life that people would pray for, thinking it's achievable if you just manifest it, lol. Made it look flawless, and now people feel betrayed because they looked up to something that was never real to begin with. I think she thought that it was real and she had finally found the answer to all of life's problems, but there's no way you can do that, dude. Like, Buddha and all of these people spent years and years starving themselves, going atop mountains, sitting down, crisscross applesauce legs, like, literally just thinking about what it all means. And if you can truly not be hurt in this thing that you call life, and if there is a key or a hack to it, and there isn't, and that's just a really hard thing to cope with when you've already had an abusive childhood. And Liz is probably she just really wants to protect herself. She wants to be somebody that can protect herself, but truth is, yeah, you can do your best to be happy, do your best to take care of yourself. Hurt, it's just gonna keep happening. And I know that's not a very nice thing to hear, but you have no control over even your own life. And I know that's also not a nice thing to hear, but the only thing that you can the only thing that you do have control over is your reactions to things and how you can show up for yourself in ways that people never showed up for you growing up. Her advices about confidence or self-worth were good, but she never was the best example to follow when it came to relationship advice. So, yeah, that brings us to what does this all mean in an even more philosophical sense. So today is July 1st, 2025, and I am going to show you guys what Liz's Instagram looks like right now, and you can make your interpretations on what she's gonna do about the whole situation, right? Let's go IG. Liz. Okay. So she had a debate at Oxford. That's something that happened. Oh, and also her donating her wedding engagement ring, it's not something that she's able to do anymore, so she ends up doing a 50K donation instead to single moms. Yeah, that was genuinely a really nice thing that she did. Now, she had her debate at Oxford, which I haven't watched it yet. I don't know if it's out yet, like, to the public, but people are making commentary videos on it. And here is, yeah, this video to the Dame Ongr audio. And then she's genuinely so beautiful. And she's been through so much. Like, every time I look at her, all I feel is love and empathy, and I just feel really bad for her because I think she's just in a really bad situation, dude. And of course you want to believe the father of your child, but genuinely, Liz, like, a lot of us are just worried about you. We're worried about you and your child, and you can be like, oh, mind your own business, don't be worried about me, Taylor Swift style, but also, like, that's such an individualistic way of thinking, especially when you're a social media figure. Like, like, I think it's a genuinely good thing that people can see something on the internet. Like, this is, like, maybe one of my most steaming hot takes ever, but I think it's a genuinely good thing that people can see relationships on the internet and be like, break up with him, he's not good for you, or what this is abuse and stuff like that. Because a lot of, like, if it's not, great, but if it is, like, a lot of, like, abusive scenarios in the past, and if the person doesn't have any social media or they're not actively posting themselves as a couple, you know, what happens at the home stays at the home kind of thing, and that is, like, an abuser's biggest tool to control you, right? But because a lot of these scenarios are on social media, not only are people able to warn each other and be like, hey, this is not normal, by the way, other people that are not necessarily posting themselves or their relationship on social media can see this and be like, hey, like, this is actually me and my boyfriend, this is not normal, what? Or me and my girlfriend, whatever, right? So I think it's honestly a good thing. And I know social media and the internet can be overwhelming at times, but let's look at the comments on this. Oh. Ha. Okay. Yeah. This is the Oxford debate. This is her latest video, which is very interesting because it's also to this song. It also got, like, a bunch of views, but views and likes, but it's to this song, and it kind of feels like romantic to Landon, but I don't know, towards Landon. So this was posted 4 days ago, but here it is. So the lyrics to the song are, oh, it's hard to see you, but I wish you were right here. Oh, it's so, yeah, that's, like, very, very on par with the situation. Like, she has to see Landon and it's hard to see him, but she wishes he was right here. But, like, right as she sings that part, she's like, wait, hold on, no. Well, like, that's also telling you that, like, I don't know, it feels kind of romantic. Oh my god, you know, like, here's the incel, so peak feminism, being a single mom and flexing it as if that's her fault, incel. Yeah, there's no way that I am literally censoring any of these comments because you put it on the internet, so go ahead. Yeah. And then there's, like, a bunch of these people being like, random person respect button. Well, yeah. So that's the latest update on Wiz Liz's Insta. Hold on. Oh god. So I thought that was the last of Wizard Liz's Instagram, but I didn't click on her story because I'd already watched her story when I started editing today, but she's posted stories since then, so this is one of them, 4 hours ago. I really believe that when we meet people, it's not a coincidence and it's to evolve you in some way. We learn the most through relationships, family, partners, friends, etc. Even painful experiences can leave you with the most wisdom and blessings. No hurt is in vain. Book A Gentle Reminder by Bianca Sparacino. Anyways, yeah, like, bro, I can just imagine Landon swiping up on this story being like 100% agree, by the way, and them having like a philosophical conversation, but it's secretly just him manipulating her and they're talking about him and her. This is a video about pregnancy, and she's like, oh, having friends or family in your life that show up for you is one of the greatest blessings. Now, for those of you that are rather eager-eyed, you might remember that Liz and Abby are not Landon's only exes. In fact, there was a comment that we read earlier from user Mystic Veils, I'm pretty sure, talking about his relationship with a certain Catherine Menchaca? Well, you might be thinking, okay, Liz had this bad experience with Landon, so did Abby. Where is Catherine? What does Catherine have to say about all this? Is Catherine the woman that Landon tried to meet up with? Catherine was not the woman that Landon tried to meet up with. However, yes, before Liz and before Abby, there was one more woman that Landon was actually very publicly dating. Unlike what he did with Abby, he didn't keep her, like, hidden as if he was ashamed of her. He was very open about dating Catherine, and during this, because Landon's whole defense was, oh, Liz, this situation happened with Liz, I messed up with Liz, but Liz is the only woman I've ever loved. Like, one of the things that he said that was absolutely diabolical because, you know, as I said before, Liz really got her feelings hurt when she realized that she was not the one and only person that Landon did all of this stuff for, right? Especially, a lot of people think it's because Liz kind of sees herself as above Abby, maybe in a way of, like, Abby being more of, like, the insta-baddie archetype, maybe. I'll put that comment right here. But Landon was talking about, like, Liz is the only woman I would do all of this stuff for, because Abby was like, oh yeah, Landon wrote me this book as well, and then he cheated on me while I was pregnant as well. But you might be thinking, okay, maybe Abby lied, but, like, are there other exes of Landon that have come out? Actually, yes. Catherine Menchaca actually did publicly come out with a social media statement, and there are actually similarities between Liz and Catherine's story as well, and it is honestly kind of frightening.
Met her on Instagram, actually. I went to search something on Instagram, and before I could even, like, search what I was looking for, I saw her picture. It was just on the Explore page, the very first thing. I clicked her picture, and I saw that she was from Dallas. I think you tagged SMU, where you go to school, and I was like, that's 5 minutes away. What? I was like, this girl's so beautiful. Oh my god. I gotta message her. I sent you a message, and yeah, that's that. Okay, like, one day I opened my Instagram, and this is when, I guess they still do it now, but you would get, like, recommended posts, and I think Liz's content was just starting to blow up, and so I got a recommended post about her account, and I saw her, and I immediately was like, oh my gosh, there's something special about this person. I don't know what it is. Obviously you're so beautiful, but there was something deeper, and so I was like, I'm gonna send her a message.
What I said in the beginning about patterns? Yep. Well, here is Menchaca's little post that she did. Like I said before, very I feel like a PR team definitely read this, but I've thought about sharing my experience and timeline on social media, but after giving it some thought, I've decided not to. There were a lot of painful and in some cases unforgivable moments in my past relationship with Landon, things I would rather not relive publicly. Okay, maybe with the wizard Liz, it was a mistake. Maybe with Abby, it's a lie. But how, Landon, how do you explain this third person? Are you going to pull a Miranda Sings on us being like, oh my god, all aboard the Landon hate train? Because let's be serious right now. Let's be serious. Because here's what she says. I did reach out to Liz on Instagram some days ago to offer my support, though I completely understand if she hasn't seen it, given how overwhelmed her inbox must be. I'm here for her if she ever wants to talk, because I truly believe situations like this are best handled privately, not in the public eye. I fully support her and the decisions she's made, but what's unfolding between them online isn't my place to step into. I truly appreciate everyone who's reached out, but I kindly ask not to be tagged or brought into a situation I wasn't part of creating. These are real lives, real emotions, and it's important to me that things are handled with care and respect. I'm choosing to move forward quietly, and I'd be grateful if that space could be honored. At the Wizard Liz. So that's what Catherine had to say about this whole thing, and honestly, people were pretty respectful of that. People didn't even really talk about this online, and that's what she requested, so that's nice. I would really say do not reach out to her in any way, but don't reach out to anyone from that you see on screen. But yeah, one person, a mistake. 2 people, a coincidence. But 3 people? In some cases, unforgivable moments. So, what can we glean from this? Because from day one, everyone's been trying to find meaning in this. Did Landon do this on purpose? A lot of people say no. It kind of just happened because that's the kind of person that he is. Did Liz deserve this? Is it because she was not vibrating on a high enough frequency? Will I ever find love? Is this how all men are? Is this how the world functions? What is love? That's the core question, right? What is love, and can I ever stop the suffering? We've answered the second one. No, you cannot. All you can do is make it a little easier on yourself by, yes, learning protective behaviors, learning how to decipher red flags and stuff like that, but you'll never be truly not susceptible to these things, right? You can never completely protect yourself because the world is rough. But what is love? That's kind of an insane question to try and tackle at the end of this video, but I think I would not be doing the topic justice if I didn't at least try. Don't worry, I'm relying on people smarter than me to kind of try and answer this, and then build that into what you should take from this case. So, what is love? Number 1, Plato and the ideal form of love. Plato's notion of love, particularly in Symposium, emphasizes love's aspirational nature, a striving for the ideal. Liz and Landon's relationship initially appeared as a pursuit of this ideal. However, Plato would argue that love's imperfections, such as betrayal, do not negate its existence, but highlight its human dimension. This is kind of saying that I guess even if a relationship failed, that does not mean that it was a waste of your time. Of course, you were able to feel these feelings so deeply, and that's a beautiful thing, but that doesn't mean that this may not be an extremely harmful scenario for you to be in. Do not glorify suffering. Simone de Beauvoir. Bro, I've literally read The Second Sex. Like, I read that when I was like in 8th grade, and I didn't understand any of it. I did not understand that it was satire. I literally carried a lot of those ideals like growing up. But anyways, what Simone says about authentic love. Simone de Beauvoir. Okay. In The Second Sex, posits that love must be an authentic engagement rather than a possessive assertion. Landon's betrayal, while antithetical to authentic engagement, reflects societal flaws rather than love's intrinsic nature. Beauvoir would argue that Liz's autonomy post-betrayal embodies love's resilience in the face of individual failings. Erich Fromm's The Art of Loving. Fromm asserts that love is an active practice requiring care, responsibility, respect, and knowledge. This is something that I think I realized around when I was 17, and it blew my mind because I was like, whoa, love is not just a feeling, it is an action that you perform every day that you can fail at, and then that means that you're not treating the other person with love. Landon's actions represent a lapse in these principles, yet Fromm would likely contend that this does not diminish the broader potential of love as a human endeavor. Modern love and cultural critique. The public sphere and parasocial dynamics. Liz and Landon's relationship lived partly in the public eye, reflecting how modern culture commodifies love. The betrayal becomes not just a personal failing, but a public spectacle. Zygmunt Bauman's Liquid Love critiques this phenomenon, highlighting how modernity's emphasis on flexibility undermines stable relationships. Betrayal as a mirror, not a measure. Philosophers like Jacques Derrida, with his ideas of deconstruction, suggest that events like betrayal deconstruct the myths we build around love. The act itself invites us to reassess not love, but our narratives about it. So what's the argument at the end of all this? I think, and this might be a conclusion you already came to in your mind, but I want to reaffirm that here. To assert that Landon's betrayal reflects a broader cultural demise of love is reductive, especially going into his background. This is not somebody that should ever be in your, like, if you're doing a case study, this guy should not even be one of the people that you consider, right? Because this is just an abusive person, like, from his past actions. This person should not be telling you what love is and isn't, right? Love, as philosophers suggest, is complex, layered, and often contrary. While Landon's actions are contradictory. While Landon's actions were undeniably harmful, they reflect individual failings on his part, rather than a systemic indictment of love. And of course you can say, oh, things have changed from back in the day, things were way more romantic back in the day. I think love and the whole concept of love is looking the best that it has in the past 100 years. Before that, maybe it was even better, but I don't think it was better in the 50s. I don't think it was better in the 60s. I definitely don't think it was better in the 70s. I think we're improving as people and we are going in a net positive direction, which is really hard to think because there's so much stuff happening around us, and social media platforms like to highlight all of the misogyny and just the incels on all of these pages. And you're like, good God, is this how men are? But the internet really is not the real world. Yes, it is a reflection of the real world, but a rather distorted one. Instead, such moments challenge us to reimagine love as resilient, nuanced, and deeply human. So in conclusion, Wizard Liz and Landon's relationship, though fractured, serves as a microcosm of modern romantic dilemmas. Love's essence, however, transcends such ruptures. Drawing on philosophical insights, we see that betrayal need not diminish love, but can instead prompt a deeper understanding of its imperfection and power. Let us then approach love not as an ideal to be achieved, but as an ever-evolving journey, one shaped by, but never defined by, human frailty. That brings us to the very end. You can follow the rest of this story on r/thewizardsnark. It was honestly such a great resource. Thank you for everyone that supported this channel since day one. And this is about 50 hours of work, so I'm exhausted and I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since breakfast and it is like 8 p.m. right now, so I'm gonna eat something, edit the rest of this video, and then upload it. See you on the other side. See you in the comments. Feel free to reach out. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to engage with this video however you'd like. And yeah, being a small channel, I respond to all the comments. So I will respond to all of your comments if you comment. And yeah, I'm on summer vacation right now, so I'll probably post again next week, or maybe I'll take a little break after this video and then post again in 2 weeks from now. But I'll see you then. What do I call you guys right now? Because I used to call you cinnamon pies, I'm pretty sure. And then I used to call you... but then I changed my channel name to Polity's Princess Club, which I might change it to something else. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, that's my mom with the dinner. But for now, goodbye. Princess Club? Anyways, goodbye. I love you so much. Thank you. And good night. Also, if you really enjoyed this deep dive, another video of mine that I would recommend to you is the G. Rose Blanchard little mini series that I made. There's also the Indian representation series, both of which are kind of deep dives into media analysis, right? So all of my other videos are fairly short, so if you want something to watch while you brush your teeth or something like that, you can go ahead and watch those, and I'll link those right here. Okay, I love you. Good night. Bye. For real this time.